Hello, Internet, and welcome to Saturday Nights, our new Saturday programming. Thank you for joining us here today in the, I guess, our debut here on Game Nights. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about what's going on because we've been kind of cryptic about it during the week. So right now, this programming, the whatever we do on Saturday, or I guess the games that the RPG games we're running on Saturday, are going to be falling under this title of Saturday Nights. We are about to, or doing sort of our session 0 building. I'll kind of explain a little bit more of that of our new game, which we are just going to be calling Saturday Nights Sarthia. And we're going to be doing some weird stuff. So before I get too much into it, just some announcements is what's been going on this last week here on our channel. We had our series finale of Wonder World Origins on Thursday, where we wrapped up our Masks campaign, a story of teenage superheroes trying to save their timeline from evildoers. It was a lot of fun to run that. I think got a little emotional in the end, and we really enjoyed it. I think we ended up with about 17 episodes of it, and all those are going to be up on YouTube, so you can check it out if you want to watch it. And that story kind of leads into, or goes along with, our initial Wonder World campaign, which was a cipher system game. We did about 5 sessions of that, so really short, but it was that kind of our sort of first foray into the Wonder World extended universe. So I really appreciate it and had a lot of fun running it. And hopefully one day we'll get into that again and do some more superheroes in the future. We will have Monday, so 2 days from today, our next session of Hidden Shrine of Tomoe-chan, the D&D 5th edition supplement from Tales of the Yawning Portal. That'll be our 3rd session of that, kind of progressing through the dungeon, having a lot of laughs. It's really casual kind of affair. You can see Morgan's death counter in the back.
Nobody's died yet, except for some monsters.
Yeah, except for some monsters. But it's been that's been a lot of fun too. Let's see. Cyberscape is in the process of processing on my computer as we speak. Hopefully, we're going to get that up. I don't know if it'll actually finish for me to get it up today, but I'm going to try my hardest. But that's going to be going up soon. We're probably going to have a little hiatus with before our next session of Survivors Complex. What of Cyberscape goes live. My brain is already in the Sarthia universe. I apologize.
It's the music.
Yeah, before the next one goes live, we're probably going to take like a 3 or 4 week hiatus, just because our Savannah and I are in the process of moving, and a lot of stuff's about to be happening at the end of the month. So just not going to have a lot of time for that. But if you listen to the show, you'll catch all the announcements and stuff on our programming. Next Thursday, we'll have our next session of Matropony, and that's about it. I missed anything? Morgan had her craft nights last Wednesday. I don't know if are we putting those up on YouTube?
No.
Well, you probably catch the VOD still if you are a subscriber, if you missed it. But it's been.
I'll probably do one more next week sometime.
Yeah. What's the costume, or what are you working on right now?
I'm working on this mask for. I'm San from Princess Mononoke.
Yeah. So definitely check out. So one more this week if you want to see how that all comes together. I think that's it as far as right now, unless anybody else has any announcements or anything that missed. Okay.
Promised I would mention again that I'm going to be running a Monster of the Week game.
Yes. Monster Week will be beginning of May. I think May 9th.
May 9th, 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Session. Yes.
It's going to be very, very fun.
Yes. Okay. So previously on this game. So we're journeying back into the world of Sarthia. If you didn't get a chance to catch Survivors Complex, which ended about a year ago, almost to the day. I don't remember exactly what the day was, but yeah, we ended that about a year ago. It's sort of our kind of more traditional high fantasy RPG. The adventurers had kind of traveled across this world, stopping different threats across it from the jungles, dense forest jungles of Graldar to the highly advanced and center of the sort of religious world, Ivrandal, is stopping conflict in the warring nations of Roran, and finally stopping a world-ending threat, vanquishing a demonic queen who had destroyed in the process of her plot 2 of the 6 gods of the, or major gods of the world. Plucky heroes, I think, is what we called them multiple times. It finally defeated this foe and restored some semblance of peace to the mortal plane. And that's where we ended our sort of campaign last time, and where we are picking up today is a little bit further down the line. It's been about 800 years since the events of the previous campaign. The year itself is 736 JA, which stands for Justitium Aetate, which is the Age of Judgment, which began with the events that ended the last campaign, the end of the war, and the death of 2 of the prime deities, which was the Herobius Aetate, which was the Age of Heroes. So where we pick up is separated enough from that. We're not going to see very many, or if any, familiar faces from the last campaign, because it has been a long time. And where we are going to be calling home for the foreseeable future is going to be the northern realm of Ishfornen, a realm of ice and snow. I don't think we ever ventured there in our last campaign, so we never really got to see it. You met some people, or one of the dignitaries from it, the leader of the country at one point, but that was about it. So that's sort of setting the scene for this game. And other than that, we don't really have a lot. I don't have a lot planned, because I kind of wanted to leave that up to you guys and finding out a little bit about your characters and what they're into, and what we might be getting into. So what we're doing today, for those of you that don't know, is we are going to be using the fate system as sort of a framing device for our character creation. All of you have already made D&D characters. I think you have names and classes and that sort of stuff, but not a ton of backstory yet. Or at least you might have your personal backstory, but you don't have your like inter-party relationships. And we're going to be starting, when we begin this game, probably next week, is going to be at level 5 in 5th edition. So we're kind of coming in with the assumption that you guys have been doing this for a little bit, and know each other a bit as well. So one of the cool things about Fate, a system that none of us have played before, I believe, is part of the character creation process involves a really kind of hard look at the relationships between the characters and how they initially formed. And that's kind of what we're going to get into. We're going to make our characters from the ground up, kind of here on stream. So I apologize if this might not be the most exciting thing to watch, but we'll try to keep talking and stuff throughout while we're doing this process. If there's anyone in the chat that has any questions or anything about the system or the setting, or anybody that watched Survivors Complex the first time and wants to know like what may have changed, I can't promise I can give an answer to everything, because some of it I might want to reveal during the game itself, but some things I might be able to sort of expound on a bit. So let's do this first. Let's talk about what you guys have so far. Name your characters, what class you're playing, at least in D&D, and give us a snippet on like who your character is. Let's start with Alex.
Sure. Let's see where to start with Chad.
Chad.
Yes.
Captain of the Love Boat.
I suppose.
And the football team?
Yes.
Chad's gonna Chad.
Chad is gonna Chad, yes. So I will be playing Chad, which is his nickname. He has a much fancier name as befitting one of his lineage. Well, his lineage is an interesting question, but he is a tiefling battlemaster. What else to share?
So Chad, Tiefling Battlemaster, do you have any idea? So are they originally from Ishvornen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Was born to a noble human father somewhere in Ishvornen. I don't know where he's from yet. Still deciding if I want his dad to be like the bigwig of that city or whatever, or maybe he's, one of the lesser nobles, but still a noble there. Chad is a right bastard. No, he is a bastard. His dad had him out of wedlock with one of his servants, which was mostly fine. Relatively little drama there until Chad was about 10 or so when his father finally married another noble lady. And then there were some tensions about, hey, you have this pre-existing child. And so that's going to be something we'll see a bit of as we go into things.
Okay. So he was unmarried when he had Chad to begin with, and then remarried later on down the line. Okay. I see. Mm-hmm. So are there other kids in the picture, or brothers and sisters?
Yes, but I think Chad's stepmother is either about to have a baby as we are picking up, or has just had the baby. So yeah, there was almost a decade of no siblings, but still this tension of, hey, here's this child that isn't mine. What's the deal? But so yes, there is about to be a new sibling, and that's gonna cause some interesting tensions as well.
I'm trying to be courteous and mute myself when I'm typing because I've got this loud ass keyboard. I should have switched my keyboard. Now I think about it. Okay. So, all right, cool. Let me do. I'll talk about this a little bit before we get into it. So, my vision for how the politics of Ishvornen work. So we have the Archduke, which is the High Duke of the country. Who the seat of power for Ishvornen is the capital of Shiriot, which is I'll point to it on the map right here. And so the High Duke holds court there and has their estate in Shiriot, but there are 10 Korla Tirna, which are council lords, and they hold dominion over the other cities. So there are 10 other cities on the map. You can kind of tell which one they are because they look like this one. That's Guibala, and then the other ones that kind of have that same little design. I tried to keep it as similar as possible. The 10 cities that look like that. Are going to be the homes or the holds of the council lords. So anyway, so there's one council lord in each of the cities, and then they have lesser lords that are underneath them that they designate as their, I guess, nobility or aristocracy of their city, which are the lesser lords, the Og Tirna, which is literally translated as young lord. But even though they might be older, it doesn't have to do as much as age, but political standing. And I'll mention it first. So the language I base this off of is like Irish Gaelic, and so that's what I'm gonna when I reference those words. It's in our setting. It's going to be referred to as the Old Tongue, but most things have a translation to them too. So you have Guibala, which is the first one I point out to. So this village over here, that translates to Windhome, is the hold there. So you either refer to it as Windhome or Guibala. So I can add you some, or I'll share some of that later on too, and names of places that you guys can easily reference as well.
So, yeah, not sure yet if I want Chad's dad to be one of the council lords, maybe one of the lesser nobilities. So, still working on that.
Okay, that's fine. I don't think that'll impact the story too much initially. So if you want to think about it before we get started, that's fine. So let's move on to somebody else then, because I think that gives us a little bit of idea of Chad. Let's go with Morgan. Who are you playing?
Oh, okay. I'm playing Hilda, short for Hildebard, bell singer. Let's see. She is...
Wait, hold on. Did you say Hildebard?
Oh, oops. It's so close. I keep confusing them. Hildegard. Hildegard.
I'm just saying I'm definitely calling her Hildebard at least once.
Yeah, because she is a bard. I can't... Yeah.
Okay.
It's a goof that I did not realize. Oops. Let's see. But Hilda is she's mostly a bard, but started out she is like a magic theory researcher and scholar at Hogwarts. Just kidding. I don't know the name of this school yet, but there is a school somewhere on this continent for magic.
Yeah. I think so. I don't think we have a name for it yet. We delved into it last time with in Survivor's Comics with the Arcanus Imperium, which was a magical institution based out of Ondakir. That has since expanded in the last 800 years, and now there's like one or more colleges, I guess, or universities across every territory in Sarthia. So I think you and I talked about it a little bit. There's one that is situated directly between Ishfornen and Crastal, which are kind of up in the same territory, same region. And those are, and that would have been the one that you attended. We'll come, if you can come up with a name for it, if you want to name it, feel free.
Okay, I'll think something. I just realized that I was like, we never came up with a name.
Nope.
I'll just call it Hogwarts for now. Hopefully we won't get
TM.
what's the funny name that they call it? Pigwarts? No. Pick something.
Not sure. Okay, so
Swine boil.
There's like a
Sounds like pig pimples.
There's a skit that like changes the name and it's ridiculous and I can't remember what it's from. Anyways.
What race are they?
She's a halfling.
Halfling. Okay.
Yes. And she's been a researcher at this school for a while, just sort of delving into magic theory and such, but was recently sort of discredited, had her residency taken away from her. And so now out to prove that she's going to be becoming the best magic caster of this age. She got into a fight with the new dean of the college, and when it came out that she doesn't cast magic the proper traditional way with wands or with circles, but she instead uses this set of bells, the dean kicked her out and she said some mean things to him. And she was not very happy about that.
Would you say she viciously mocked him?
Probably.
Okay. I love it. All right. So Hilda, Chad, what about Lindsay?
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm playing Mel. Just Mel. That's not
I
true.
love these names so far, guys. Keep it coming.
her name is Melisande Bune, but she goes
Not
by
gonna say that.
Nope. It's just Mel. Don't worry about it. It's just Mel. She is commoner extraordinaire. Born to servants, raised as a servant, worked as a servant. She's a servant. Not a fan of it though. She actually, I don't know if we want to start that. I'll hold that. She actually ... Tune in next time. But she is in D&D terms an artificer. So she kind of was like, I don't know if I would say she's unhappy with her lot in life, but more that she had a thirst for knowledge and she would go and get it even if she wasn't allowed to or wasn't supposed to, or if the books and things belonged to somebody else, or if she wasn't actually invited to that wizard class. Thank you very much, Mel. But she eavesdropped in the bushes outside and stuff and started teaching herself magic. And that's her. She's basically a punk kid with a chip on her shoulder and a lot to prove.
Perfect. So Artificer Mel.
What race is she?
Yes, that's
Yes. She's a half drow.
half drow. Okay. Now, are you for D&D purposes?
Half-elf.
Are you doing half elf? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were doing half elf or drow. Perfect. And we didn't talk about this before. The common sort of races of this realm. So it's a very kind of dark, bleak sort of snow terrain. It exists very far north in the way that Sarthia is kind of positioned, the way that the I guess environment works. This area, Ishvornen and Grassel, is like perpetually snowy and dark. You do have winter seasons and kind of, but it's basically like very cold or like extremely cold. And it kind of in the same way the Ishvornen or Ondak here is desert, and it's either hot or extremely hot. So the way that the terrain is kind of laid out, the races that lived here, it's sort of home to the drow, have a large population here. I think they're probably one of the most common races in this region, and this isn't your like typical D&D drow. They're not all crazed worshippers of Lolth and kidnapping people and adversaries. They have span the range of alignments and goals and purposes as any other race. So the other race that is common up here are the Goliaths, are the prominent sort of noble or aristocracy of this land, based on their relationship with the giant kin that are also prominent in this valley. So the High Duke, the person who sits as High Duke, is a Goliath, and I think many of the Council Lords are as well. Not all of them, because humans also play a big part as well as drow, but I think it's mostly Goliaths that tend to fill those positions. So yeah, drow, and because some people might have asked about half drow, how's that going to work? It's actually incredibly accepted and common and stuff in this region. So. All right. Well, last but not least, Savannah.
That is me. Hello. I am going to be playing the character of Juliana Valaris, who is a Genasi cleric. I know everyone is shocked at this character I have made. Her name is Juliana. She goes by Jules to her friends, which will be you, because she makes friends very easily. She is from Ishvornen. She's from a very, very small village called Vakris, which is basically like a little stop on the road, one-horse town kind of thing, where she and her mother own the tavern. She's a bartender. And she owns this tavern, the Rusty Cog Ale House, with her human mother, Camilla. And yeah, that's what she do.
Sorry, it's muted. Who is your deity?
Gethys, the Great Father.
Okay.
The Tree Man. God of life and nature. Yes, she's
Yes.
a life cleric.
And that kind of comes into another piece of lore that I should probably throw out there just in case that we're all on the same page with it. So Gethys is one of the 6 prime or major deities of the Paramount Convergence, which is like the high seat of the gods. One of the 6 originators or the creators of the multiverse. And you, in the last campaign, that was a big point about the 6 original gods were Gethys, the Great Father, Jarli, the Mad Emperor, Lelevoth, the Eternal Mother, and Orisha, the Sage Wanderer. We also had Alarius and Grin, who were both destroyed in the last in Survivor's Complex due to the evil actions of Arthelia, the demon queen. So the 6 gods were originally imprisoned, or they were imprisoned during a great calamity and war with their original creations. After that, in the events of the last campaign, it had been revealed that they were imprisoned as their lesser deities had been kind of tending to their needs and maintaining this illusion that they were still present. At this point, though, they have all been released. So the 4 original deities, Gethys, Jarli, Lelevoth, and Orisha, are back and kicking. And they are joined by 2 new deities, Denowin, the Tempest Queen, and Kune, the Ashen Lord, 2 of the adventurers in the last game who picked up the mantles of the prior deities and took their sparks and ascended to their position. So now those 6 hold court after that calamity, which was referred to as the Sundering. And now that they have regained their positions, many of the mortals await the this I guess argument that has begun and persisted between the gods over the last 800 years is what to do with mortal kind after mortal kind led to their imprisonment and downfall and of all the atrocities that have taken place. And that is why we are now in the age of judgment, because many of that fall of the 6 believe that they will soon or one day be judged for the transgressions of their kind. And right now, what's believed, or kind of the lore, is that some of the deities are arguing on behalf of mortals, foremost of which being Denowin, the Tempest Queen, and Kune, the Ashen Lord, while some are arguing for their judgment. Chief among them, or I think the chief litigant or prosecutor, would be Jarli, the Mad Emperor. So that's sort of our lore drop there. We'll get more into it. It's not going to have a huge bearing on the initial campaign. But yeah, so you're worshiping Gethys. So I think that's everyone as far as our characters go. So let's get a little bit into Fate and talk about how we're going to set this up and how this works. So Fate, we've been looking at playing this for a while. We haven't gotten a chance to with any of our games so far. We thought this would be a good chance to test run it. I've given you all character sheets, and you all should have access to the Fate rulebook. Take your time getting that up, but I think the character creation part starts on chapter 3. And we're just going to kind of follow along there. So everyone will have a character sheet, and you'll see that there are certain, so the main mechanics of the Fate system. So still a dice-based system, but it has its like unique style of dice. Everything is done in these steps and these modifiers. So we're going to pick some skills, which are going to kind of go with the core tenets of your character, ranging from +1 to I think +5 initially. We're going to pick some aspects, which are kind of a concept, ideas, kind of things your character embodies. This is going to be more important to us. The skills part, not so much. You guys will still pick those if we're going to like play some kind of test fade out. But the part that I'm most interested in seeing you guys come up with are your characters, the kind of the starting point. So you're going to come up with your character idea, which is their high concept, something that sort of embodies your character in a very sort of broad or sort of general way, something that is very personal to them, and then their trouble, something that is that will be invoked some sort of flaw as part of their person. So that's where the game kind of has you start. You guys all have a general kind of idea of your characters at this point because you have made your D&D characters. But now I'll ask you to come up with your high concept and your trouble. Does anybody have any ideas who's like read through the character creation part? Or is anybody like struggling and kind of wants some inspiration or kind of wants to talk it through about like how we would frame that? Who wants to be the guinea pig for this? I guess I should ask.
I have some thoughts, but I don't know how to word them in the context of fate.
Well, just give me your thoughts and we'll translate.
Okay, so I mean, she's a bartender cleric.
Mm-hmm.
Those are like the two like major points of Jules' identity.
Okay.
Pretty much. And so like those are the things that are really important to her. Like, so for example, like in the language of D&D, like I have the folk hero background, and so like I have this bond that I don't remember if it came from folk hero, if I start with something else, but I have this bond that is like her tools are symbols of her past life, and she carries them with her. So I will never forget my roots and stuff like that. So I think there's like these two parts of her identity that are very important that I want to rope into a high concept, but I don't know.
Yes. So the way it describes it in the book, the way it says in the book, I'll just go ahead and read it verbatim. Your high concept is a phrase that sums up what your character is about, who he or she is, what he or she does. It's an aspect, one of the first and most important ones for your character. So you're going to think about it as like your job, your role in life, your calling. Some examples they give you, if you're going to take the idea like your job, literally, lead detective, knight of the round, low level thug, something like that is a high concept, or kind of give some more specifically. If you could match two jobs together that most people would find odd, like wizard private eye, singing knight of the round table, or
Cleric
a monster slaying, or monster slaying accountant. Cleric bartender is pretty good to a high concept.
Okay.
You could even go a little bit further, or I guess we could divide it up. You could do cleric bartender is their high concept. You could do folk hero as an aspect, or something that you could do later on, or have later on down the list. But I think cleric bartender is probably as close to high concept as you'll get. So that's what we'll start with. Let's go around and let's do high concepts first, and then we'll talk about troubles. So thinking about that, does anybody know how they'd phrase their high concept for their character?
I mean, I was thinking like discredited scholar of insert magic school.
Okay.
I don't know if that gives like all that she's about though.
Well, a high concept doesn't necessarily have to be everything. If somebody were to distill you down to your like most basic part, like you're the most like elemental idea of your character. If somebody's really going to stereotype you, I guess is what would they consider you? Okay. I mean, you could do the discredited way. I think that works too, and I think there are some interesting ways you can invoke that to help yourself or to gain aspect. That's also really good, like compel for me as the GM for this, the discredited part. So that's a good like duality of this system, is like things that you can use for your benefit, and then I can also use against you for your detriment. The trouble is really the most like detrimental aspect of your character. So if you wanted to break it up and you wanted to say something about like bard scholar and like maybe flesh that a little bit, and you want the discredited part to be their trouble,
okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any ideas or?
Yeah, I think Mel is going to be ne'er-do-well nerd.
Okay. I like that. Do you have any idea for a trouble or anything yet, or is that as far as you got?
That's as far as I've gotten so far.
That's fine. I just I know you probably have looked at the system more than anybody else, so I just wanted to see if you had got any.
I'm just trying to listen, you know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So Alex, do you have any ideas for Chad?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this would be more his high concept or his trouble aspect. I'm thinking this might end up being more trouble, but going with Chad's gonna Chad. Because you were saying, you know, how would someone stereotype your character? And I don't know. I'm still figuring out exactly how this is going to manifest, how Chad's personality is going to manifest. But something that was one of the early key phrases for him was bro snooty. Because he's still a noble, but he's also a bit of a bro. And so I'm wondering what does that even mean? As I said, I'm still trying to figure it out. But
yeah, I mean, you could do like a high concept of like, you know, muscle-headed noble warrior of something like that. I like that Chad's gonna Chad as an aspect because I mean it's super vague, and I know like that I think it's one of those things that I think we all know what it means, and I think if you want to flesh it out a little bit more, like as describing about it, but just putting down Chad's gonna Chad as an aspect is something that you could later on make an argument. It's like this is why I think this should apply. Like one of the things the game talks about is like not making things that are too broad or too specific, something that you can pull from. But I think something like that would technically work. I'd allow that within the course of the confines of the rules.
Yep. And then so I guess my question for that is the trouble aspect ever used positively? Or because I can also see Chad's gonna Chad coming in as a like way to make something good happen.
Yeah, so the trouble, the way it describes it here, every character has some sort of trouble that's part of their life and story. It's your if your high concept is what your character is, your trouble is the answer to a simple question: what complicates your character's existence? So it's about the darker side of the impulses that are hard to control. You could use it, you could invoke it yourself as a positive, like you can with any aspects, but it's something that is going to lend itself to more complications in your life. So Chad is going to Chad if you think that's going to be like there's an impulse there's something that like they're just going to do their own, like there's something that could complicate their life. That'd be one. The like bastard son is also one that could complicate your life, but either one of those I think works.
Okay, so I think I'm going to put Chad's going to Chad in for the trouble aspect.
Okay. Yeah.
And then high concept. I know this is the one I was thinking of, although it wouldn't be quite so much the stereotyping them at a glance thing. Is justice reigns from above, REIGNS. And so just this idea that it is the duty of the nobility and those with power to make sure they're being responsible with it, using it to serve the people, which can tie very well into what's going on with his stepmother and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I think if you want to do something like that, I like the idea of doing obviously I find the puns and stuff very, very amusing. As long as you know what it means and you'll have kind of a definition for how it works, that's fine. If we were going to be exploring the story more, I might have you do something a little more specific, but for right now, I think that'll work for the confines of this game. And it makes a lot of sense if it's pulling from how you view the world and your how you're gonna come against and encounter deal with problems, I guess. Okay, so kind of flipping back around to Savannah, do you have an idea for Jules's trouble?
Yeah, I have an idea, but I'm not sure if it's a strong enough idea.
Okay.
So I would like to talk about it. So I did do like I said, I'm doing kind of the folk hero thing for her, meaning there was an event in her life where she saved a bunch of people essentially in her town. which is great, and she's glad they're alive and all that stuff. But I'm thinking that for her, like now the reputation that she has to live up to is, sorry, there's a gnat.
Yeah.
In here, is difficult. I'm not doing a very good job.
No, I think
of explaining this, but I think I don't know, like having to live up to that reputation, or having to like be someone that she doesn't think she is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably define that as like big shoes to fill, or like imposter syndrome, or something like that.
Yeah.
Sort of works there, because the way it describes it here, the trouble aspects are broken up into two types: personal struggles and problematic relationships. That sounds like a personal struggle.
Yeah.
Just kind of having to deal with how people perceive you. It kind of works for both, but I think it probably is defined more as a personal struggle. Like Chad is going to Chad.
Chad's going to Chad. I think imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Is where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so Lindsay or Morgan, do you have any ideas for your troubles?
I do. Do you, Morgan?
I need just half a second more.
Okay, I got you multiple half seconds. So I think Mel's trouble is either going to be something like something to prove or chip on her shoulder. Like just like when I was introducing her, she's a nerd with something to prove. Like I think that can get her in a lot of bad situations of like people could like, what's the word I'm looking for? Rile her up, and like she could make bad decisions because she feels like she's got to prove something.
Yeah.
Sort of
I think that's definitely a personal struggle, something to prove. I think that's pretty much that's a very classic, I think, personal struggle to put there. So yeah, cool. And again, I like it because it's something that you can invoke when you're trying to, if you feel like it's applicable to the situation, but it's also something that I think could easily be compelled as well.
Yeah, exactly. Also, earlier I said ne'er-do-well nerd. Turns out ne'er-do-well does not mean what I thought it meant. It means like being lazy and irresponsible. I was going for something more like mischievous, like troublemaker, hoodlum.
Yeah, any of those work.
Great. Just clarifying for posterity.
Yeah, I think I also look. I didn't think about it at the time because I think most people just think ne'er-do-well as some sort of deviant. I don't think. But like the literal definition I don't think that would necessarily fit. So yeah. And I guess I've said it a couple times now, this idea of invoking an aspect or compelled. So there's this concept of fate points in the fate system for people that aren't familiar with it. And you guys will get a certain amount of fate points by default. I think it's 3. And you can spend fate points to invoke one of your aspects to get like a bonus to a roll or to re-roll a check. On the flip side, you only get a certain amount of spend per session. I can compel an aspect in a negative way, or if you might get like consequences later on, or some sort of like injuries and things like that come up as well. That a GM can also compel. You can accept, or we kind of negotiate that a bit. If you accept the compel that I give you, you get a fate point back that you can then spend later on. It's how you refresh them. It's how also I keep the game interesting as the GM. So yeah, that's what I mean by talking about the compel. So all aspects can really be used either way. Some of them just lend themselves to being used in a more positive or negative light. At least my understanding of the rules. I just know it from what I've read, how I've read the book. So anyway, and someone can correct me if they know the game better than I do, because I am
that sounds right to me.
Yeah. So Morgan, you were working on your trouble.
Yeah, I've like maybe I'm trying to figure out like the discredited thing, but I also like the idea of being like small but fierce.
Okay.
Like she gets
I like that.
Prideful and like gets into trouble maybe.
Though she be but little, she is fierce.
Oh yeah. Yep, I like something like that.
Yeah.
Like how to
Yeah, if we frame it in a way, if you put that down as your trouble, again, it's like a personal struggle, something that it kind of like the something to prove
Yeah, it's kind of similar to that, but
Yeah.
very fiery.
Cool. There's a gnat flying around that's just irritating the hell out of me.
Y'all need gnat catchers
Yeah.
or something. Okay. I'm still figuring out, but something along those lines.
Cool. Yeah, that's fine. And you guys can tweak them and stuff as we go, if you want to refine them a bit.
Mhm.
So let's continue. You guys have names. So
Which I guess just very briefly, because I've only been calling him Chad, and the others all dropped what their full-on fancy name is. Chad's full given name is Nebuchadnezzar Musseldorf, which I will put it into the chat, and you will see how.
Why is he Chad though?
Because there's
Chad is short for Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
That's a stretch, but okay.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's
Chad's
what you
gonna
get
Chad.
with nobles.
Nebuchadnezzar Musseldorf.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah, you know.
Nebuchadnezzar. Okay.
I love it. Best. I told you guys it was the best.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
All right. So I don't think we do. I'm double checking here. I don't think we do the rest of the aspects right now necessarily. I'm double checking because like I said, I haven't done this before. I think you guys can kind of fill them out during play. If you have ideas for additional aspects, you can create those as well. The next part, and I think this is where we might get more ideas for your aspects as we go, is going to be what's called the phase trio, is the next part of the game. And this is kind of the most interesting part that I was most excited about doing here today. So what we're going to do is each one of you is going to... this is where the rest of the aspects come in. Now I'm remembering. Okay, so what each of you is are going to do is you're going to write down a scenario. So here's what it is describe your character's first adventure. And you are going to write down some sort of adventure, something important to your character's life. Then you're going to describe how you cross paths with the other characters, and you're going to write down an aspect for each of these experiences. So first, what we're going to do is you're going to write down your adventure. And I have some inspiration here in the book. If you find yourself stuck, look at the character's high concept and trouble. You can find dilemma that has a chance of throwing up ideas into focus. You can ask your character the following story questions if you have trouble answering them. Talk to the other players in GM for help. You can, something bad happened. What was it? Did it happen to you, to someone you cared about, or to someone who you were coerced into helping? What did you decide to do about the problem? What goal did you pursue? Who stood against you? Did you expect some opposition? Did you expect the opposition you got? Did some of it come out of nowhere? And did you win? So this adventure needs to be, and here's a note here, because two other characters will be involved in these stories, you're going to need to pick something or create something that isn't so early in your character's life that you wouldn't have met the other protagonists yet. So this is going to be something that happened fairly recently. Or no more recent than the first time you met one of your cohorts. And we can kind of talk about this as a group. You guys want to talk about like how long you guys see each other being together. I don't know how, as far as ages go, where we're working at as far as how old everyone is and how long they have to have been doing this. Because if somebody in the group is like 19, then that might make it a little more difficult to say that they've been traveling for 8 years.
What was the question? Was it how old are we?
Ages. If you guys want to talk
Chad?
about that.
Yeah, I think Chad is one of the youngest, if not the youngest, at 20.
20. Okay. That narrows us a little bit with the scope of how long you guys you probably would reasonably be traveling together. How long do you think it's been since Chad even left home?
I'm worried that I'm stealing too much from our other session 0 that we did off stream the other day, but maybe about 6 months.
Okay. I mean, we can reference that. You guys don't have to move away from that. We have, if in case anybody out there is wondering, we have talked about these characters before. So yeah, 6 months. Okay. So that would necessarily mean that your guys, as far as Chad's concerned, all this adventure would need to have taken place in the last 6 months. Now, I guess you guys have to decide amongst yourselves kind of how long you've been out there and who this might have corresponded with. So 6 months for Chad. Does anybody else have any like big time restraints or been adventuring a lot longer or a lot shorter than that?
Mel's been getting up to no good since like day 1.
Okay.
So,
And how old is Mel?
I'm thinking like 23, maybe 24.
Okay.
I don't know how long Hilda's been like adventuring, because she's kind of been studying and being a big nerd. But maybe she like sort of recently got kicked out, and so I don't know. I'm like picturing she's in their like 30 or 40s.
Okay. But you recently left the academy or the school. So like within the last year?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay. And then for Jules, what are you thinking?
Jules is in the like mid 30s age range. I'm imagining like 34 ish, maybe 35.
Okay.
And she's probably been at this the longest.
Okay.
Thinking about her.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's probably been out and about for
A few years.
Yeah, maybe a couple of years. Like two maybe.
Sure. We don't need to tie down numbers. I'm only asking it so we can all get a general sense for how long everybody's been around.
I think she's been out and about for a couple of years.
Okay. So what you all need to do then, and so the way we would do it if we were all sitting around a table is we write on a note card and we hand it to each other. You can just type it up, because what I'm going to have you do is just send it to another player. We'll just use Discord for it once you guys are done. So it only needs to be a sentence or two. Please don't make it more than that. But just a couple of phrases or a couple of sentences that just kind of gives a basic idea of what the story is or what this event was.
And this is a event we all share?
This is an event you will share with 2 other people. So what's going to happen is you are going to write down your adventure, and you're going to hand it to another player, and they are going to write down how they fit into it, what they did, how they helped. And then they are going to hand it to one other person who is also going to chip in and say how they helped and how they were involved.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
And we do this secretly?
No, we're going to all talk about them.
Okay.
We're going to read these out loud.
Great.
These are all things that I think, because there are only 4 of you in the party, there are going to be 4 events that 3 of you were involved in. So I think all of you will pretty much have some sort of clue into all these events. But you all have 3 events that you were involved in and 1 event that you weren't, essentially.
Okay.
So yeah.
And this is an adventurous thing that happened recently.
Yeah, so it's something that happened. Again, it would have to be something that happened fairly recently, considering that Chad's only been going around for about 6 months now.
Well, I do want to add a slight clarification that I think the 6 months is when he has left his home, but even before then, he's been doing some things as like being a young noble in noble society, and so maybe has gotten into a couple things, but still relatively short time frame for Chad.
Yeah, it'd probably be easiest. I mean, because we haven't decided on locations yet, and we can put you guys closer together if it looks like you guys will have crossed paths before actually going out and adventuring. This will dictate kind of the geography. It just wouldn't make sense for one of you to say it was like, since Chad's only 20, it would make sense to say that it was like 10 years ago when Chad was 10 years old, and saying that he helped you kill the nobleman. I mean, I don't know much about Chad and his youth, but that might not make sense. But just don't. I wouldn't. You're going to limit the other players if you write something that happened when you were like 5 years old or something like that. So,
speaking of killing a nobleman.
Okay.
so yeah, let's go ahead and you guys do that. I'll put on some Jeopardy
Typity
music.
type.
Yeah.
Not Jeopardy.
Oh, are we sending this in messages to somebody, or we send it like in the
main chat?
No. I'm gonna have you guys set until we. So here's what you guys are gonna do. Just type it up somewhere for yourself. It's step one. Type it up with yourself.
Type it. Okay.
Yes. Just get it written down.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Cool.
Oh man.
I mean, I already said it out loud.
Oh, that one. Okay.
So, and the rest of you won't, but what you will do then, because the way that it describes in the book is once everyone has their adventure written down, you'll pass your card to the left or right, or you'll shuffle a stack and hand them down to everyone randomly. I think what I'd like to do is actually just like, I don't know. I think doing it randomly is probably going to be the most fun. Since we can't do left or right here. So what I'll probably do is just have you roll for it. But everybody's going to have at least one. So I guess we'll just do it one at a time right now. So Lindsay, since you finished yours first, let's just have you roll a D3. We'll say 1 is Savannah, 2 is Alex, 3 is Morgan. Okay, so you'll send yours to Alex.
Perfect.
And you can go ahead and do that if you want to. And Alex, finish writing your stuff. Don't feel like you have to rush. I don't want anyone to feel rushed right now. So you'll send yours to Alex just do a private Discord message just so it doesn't clutter our server. And then Alex, I'll have you send yours next whenever you're done writing yours.
Okay. Okay, then I think I need to rewrite how I've been doing these because I was kind of writing, the beginning of an adventure that could fit with each of the different characters, but that's not how we're supposed to be doing this.
No. Yeah, this is random. Yeah, we're not. You guys won't choose who's going to be involved in your story. Yes, Savannah.
I guess I don't understand how much information I'm actually supposed to be giving.
Okay,
Yeah,
well
same.
let's.
Like, am I supposed? Is this like a thing where I write 2 lines of the story and then pass it, and they write the next 2 lines of the story, or is this like I'm supposed to know what happened and how it ended?
Sure. Let me explain a little bit better then. So what'll happen is once you pass the card, the other person will decide what their role was in this story. They'll have a supporting role in it. They'll either choose how they complicated the adventure, how they helped you solve a situation, or how they did a little bit of both. So you're writing the entire thing. You're kind of describing and just, again, very vaguely, no names, no places, nothing like, let's just keep it like extremely vague because so it can fit into 2 sentences and do, again, what was the bad thing that happened? What did you do? Who did you encounter? Kind of who stood against you? And did you win? Did you lose? What was the outcome? So.
Okay.
Alex, let me know if that sucks or not.
No, I mean, I think I know what to do with that, but still
Sweet.
trying to come up with ideas in terms of
Your own?
Yeah, my own Chad originated adventure.
If anyone, if it's going to be easier, I was thinking it might be fun if we kind of secretly did these at first and then read them all out once they had all been finished. But at the same time, if you guys want to go ahead and read the ones that you're doing, if you're having trouble coming up with something, we can workshop the stories. Don't feel like you have to keep them secret.
Yeah.
I
think we'll go with, or you were saying, Savvy?
I was saying I think I have mine.
Okay.
2 sentences I did.
That's good. That's perfect.
Okay.
I did like 5.
It's short enough. No, I mean,
They're punchy sentences.
yes.
I'll take away the XP from you later. I'm
You
just
said 2,
kidding.
so I did 2.
Based on the number of periods, yes, this is like 4 sentences. But
It started
I
out
really
as one sentence.
I really just didn't want this to be like a page
Yeah.
of like stuff. So does everybody kind of have something at this point?
I have something, but I don't know. I haven't decided how it has resolved.
Murder.
No.
Can it?
I mean, maybe. It's kind of open right now.
Send it to me. Send it to me, and it will.
So far, this campaign's sounding like the first enemy you guys are going to have to encounter is going to be Lindsay's character, and Lindsay's going to be making a new one. Really quick.
Are you a murder hobo, my dear?
You know what, guys? I've just had my character killed so quickly in so many campaigns. I'm just trying to
get
the one
out
to
ahead of
instigate
the
it.
curve.
Can I kill my character twice in the same first
Can I
session?
kill my character in session 0?
Okay, does everybody have a little, I mean, if you don't feel like super good about the ending, as long as you put something down for like kind of a resolution of sorts, then I think that'll be fine. Morgan, or do you feel
Okay. Yeah, I'm like 50-50, like it would be. I'll just roll some dice to decide how it ends.
okay? Well, let's do this. Alex, why don't you roll D3 for me too? We'll do 1 is Savannah, 2 is Lindsay, 3 is Morgan.
Okay.
Okay, so yours will go to Savannah. And then Savannah, I'll have you roll a D2 for me. We'll do 1 for Lindsay and 2 for Morgan.
1.
Okay, yours will go to Lindsay. Oh, wait, that doesn't work because Morgan we can't give hers to herself. So I didn't think about that. So yours will go to Morgan and Morgan's will go to Lindsay.
Okay.
All right, let me set mine to Lindsay.
Yeah.
I'll get you yours soon, Savvy.
I promise Mel is a more well-rounded member of society than I, Lindsay, am making her seem. I'm just
Wait,
very excited to cause chaos.
Wait, I'm sending mine to Morgan. I already forgot.
Yeah, you sent yours to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I should mention we're not doing evil characters in this campaign to the audience who might be thinking that Lindsay's about to play a chaotic evil character.
She's not. She's not.
Okay.
She's neutral good. Maybe chaotic good. I haven't quite decided.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Chad's gonna chat. That's chaos.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Chad, the Lord of
Oh,
Chaos.
Morgan, your story is so much better than mine.
and because I'll explain to the audience, so kind of what we were talking about doing with this campaign is getting into more of like kind of traditional fantasy storytelling. You guys will. My vision is more of a classic, like getting the job from the job board or the bartender or something like that, going somewhere, stopping the thing, moving on. There'll be more drama, of course, like there is in every campaign, and there will probably be some secret organizations and other goings-ons and things like that will inevitably complicate your lives and make things more difficult than that. But my thought is that you guys are professional adventurers at this point, and your job is going around and looking for trouble to stop. So
Got it.
yeah.
Okay.
Not saying that that's how necessarily all met, but maybe when you came together, that's when we started, because we're also going to flesh out a little bit after the origination of your team, what you guys have done so far.
Okay, so our job now is to either complicate
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
the adventure, solve the situation, or
Yes.
complicate and solve.
Yeah, so we're on page 42 of the book if you got it open. But yeah, so you're playing a supporting role in this story. This story belongs to another character. This is their time to shine or something like that, but you are playing a supporting role in it.
Okay.
So you can discuss it with the player. You guys can talk to each other, message to each other, whatever you want to do, and kind of discuss how what they think about what you want to do, or you can kind of workshop it with them a bit. We can talk about it out loud if you guys want to. Just don't want everybody cross talking at once. You'll pick the supporting roles, either complicating. Your character managed to make some part of the adventure uncertain. Let me see if it has any examples here. Don't worry about how the situation resolved. Leave that for someone else, or leave it open. Just kind of talk about how you complicated it, or how you solved a complication. if there was another character that creates a complication when you guys turn over your cards, or if there's some other aspect or something that you see as part of their story that may have needed solving, you could offer that help. This is a sort of little Mad Libsy.
Okay, I like it though.
Yeah, here's an example they give here. So complicated and solving. Here, your character either solves one situation or creates another. So matching up the two, it says Landon starts a fight with the Scar Triad while Zerd is trying to lay low. Later, he helps Zerd by fighting off undead while Zerd's casting a spell. Something like that. So it kind of starts the problem, finishes the problem. Let's see. And we haven't really talked about the aspects yet. So let me go back to that, because again, the book gets a little here trying to figure out how this works. So this is going to what you are writing here, and maybe we backtrack a little bit. So what you're writing here, your story and the two ways that you intervene are going to define your your last three aspects. And sorry, I missed that the first time I wrote it. So read it. So what's going to happen is your story is going to inform one aspect of your character, and then the way you help or interfere with the next two is going to define the second, the third, or the fourth and fifth aspect. So think about.
I like this. Yeah.
So think about the adventure that you wrote.
That helps.
Yeah. So if you guys want to go ahead and go back and do both, if you want to wait until you've finished all of it, and then we can talk about where your aspects came from, or how to interpret those as aspects, we can do that too. And I've got types of aspects. If you guys are curious, as like kind of examples, those in the books I can pull up. You've got things like personality traits and beliefs, sucker for a pretty face, never leave a man behind. You've got backgrounds and professions like cybernetic street thief, educated at the Academy of Blades. Problems, goals, issues, like a price on my head, the king must die, fear of heights, or reputations, obligations, self-important merchant, guildmaster, silver-tongued scoundrel, honor bound to avenge my brother, those sorts of things. So does everybody have their second part? No? Okay,
I've almost got it.
And again, please, if you have any questions or you need to like stop and we need to talk about something, please let me know, because that's what we're here for.
Okay, so we have it figured out. We send it back to the person.
If you have any questions for them, or you want to make, I guess if you guys want to send it back to the person that sent it to you, just so that you can get an okay from them. Mm-hmm. If they feel good about that, then I guess do that. Make sure they approve, and then you will send it to one other person.
Okay.
The third contributor. This would be easier if we were all sitting around a table and we could like pass note cards and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But we're making the best of it here. And I'll explain a little bit too, again, for the stream, and you guys can ignore me or whatnot. So everything in the game can have an aspect, pretty much. So you guys have your character aspects that will be kind of permanent to your character. There are I can ascribe, or we can, as a group, we can ascribe aspects to pretty much everything else. There'll be situational aspects that'll be like physical features of the environment. something like dense underbrush or obscuring snowdrifts, things like that. Positioning or placement, like sniper's perch in the trees, backyard. So that kind of talks about like where you are. You might gain an aspect for where you are currently involved in like a conflict. Or contextual details that are likely to come into play, disgruntled townfolk, security cameras, loud machinery, or sudden changes in a character's status, sand in the eyes, disarmed, cornered, covered in slime, something like that. And then we also have aspects that are called consequences that'll come up from like conflicts that we have when you guys are in fight and you take stress. You can choose to take a consequence to keep from being like taken out of commission. And that'll be stuff kind of like your injuries in D&D, which is like dislocated shoulder, bloody nose, or some of them are like social aspects, social consequences. If we do like kind of, you can do the like verbal encounters and stuff, like social pariah or something along those lines, which can be invoked by the GM as a, or not invoked, but no, I've forgotten the word for it. Compelled by the GM. Okay. I've done a lot of talking. How do we feel?
I'm good.
Good. Has everyone sent theirs back to the original author and gotten approval on it?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So let's do this then. Who went last time? Morgan. Whose do you have again?
I have Savannah's.
You have Savannah's. Okay, so yours could either go to Alex or Lindsay.
Okay,
go
should I
ahead.
roll for it?
Yeah, roll a D2. 1 for Alex, 2 for Lindsay.
Okay. Where is my... There it is. Two.
Okay, so you give yours to Lindsay.
Oh, okay. Here it goes.
Let's see. I think Savannah, you went third last time, I believe. I don't remember. Anyway, we'll just keep going. Or actually, Lindsay, because you just got one, we'll just do it this way. Lindsay, whose do you have?
I have Morgan's.
Okay. So yours can either go to Savannah or Alex. Go and roll a D2. 1 for Savannah, 2 for Alex.
2.
Okay, yours will go to Alex. Alex, whose do you have?
Seems like a pattern.
I have Lindsay's.
Okay, yours can't go to or no. You have, so yeah, yours will have to go to Savannah, I believe. No, I guess it could go to Morgan. So Savannah or Morgan. 1 for Savannah, 2 for Morgan. So yours will go to Savannah.
And I have Alex's.
Okay. And
That'll go to me.
that'll go to Morgan. Okay. Everybody
Okay.
can have one then. Make sure that was
Okay.
working. So everyone has a new one. So you will once again do the same thing you did before. Resolve a consequence, or resolve a conflict, create a conflict, something along those lines. Somehow, how you contributed to this event.
So we should send them both things? Like we send them the whole thing that we have so far.
You send the whole thing you have so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
send this.
What the original thing was, and then how you contributed to it.
Crap, I don't remember who I'm sending mine to.
I'm sending mine to
Me!
you.
Oh, to Lindsay. Okay. Ah!
Like I said, this would be a lot easier if we were just passing cards to the left.
Okay. All right. And so I'm just waiting for mine from somebody. For Alex.
Oh, I'm supposed to send mine back to you for the final okay. Got it.
And we're doing the same thing.
Yes, same thing you did
Complicating
before.
yourself. Okay.
Mhm. And then you're creating an aspect for yourself.
I'm gonna learn
based
the
on-
rules of this game just in time to not ever play it again.
We'll see. I mean, like I said, I was going to leave it up to you guys at the once we're done to see whether you guys wanted to play it a little bit more next week, or if we wanted to just go straight into D&D. I know we just wanted to get a little bit of experience playing this game so that we knew if we want to try it out later on. And we'll hold on to these character sheets and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
you guys can use them for things later on.
If Savvy's right.
Hmm?
Is that whose I have? I have Savvy's?
No, Morgan has.
No, as in like the original one. I have Savvy's original one.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Did you guys title?
No,
who's
I
the-
had Savvy's.
Who
original.
just sent something?
Morgan has mine. Lindsay,
Yeah.
you have Morgan's.
I
The
have
original.
Morgan's original one.
I'm so
You have more-
confused.
Yeah. Okay.
Mine went to Lindsay, and then it went to Alex.
Mhm.
Savannah's went to me, and then went to Lindsay.
Okay, you have Savannah's then.
Right. That's
yeah.
what I thought.
Who are
I
these
guess
characters?
you guys didn't put names. I didn't realize you guys hadn't put names on these.
I did.
Okay.
Okay, let me update.
I should have
Yeah,
specified.
I did. I just left it as we. So sorry.
Yeah, I did too.
Okay.
Well, in the second part, I put my name, but that's
Yeah. That's fine as long as we clear it up.
There you
who's
go.
doing this.
I'm trying to think how to resolve this one without just doing the same one I did in the other one.
Yeah. When I sent it to you, I was like, ew. Maybe be part of the first half and not the second half.
Yeah, is the assumption that we're there for the whole?
Could
whole
be.
gamut?
No, I mean, I think
So
you
this
could have been there
one's
for.
kinda hard.
You could have been there for part of it. You could have been there for the whole thing. I don't think you would have had to be there for the whole thing, though.
Oh wait, I've got something.
You somehow played a role in it, and you got to know the author of this story because of it. So, like I said, you should know at least 2 other people in the group by the end of this adventure, and anyone that you didn't have a specific story with, we'll work out how you guys met, or if you just met by association.
Oh gosh, Savvy, I went to go send it back to you, but I had this whole long message I never sent to you.
Oh no.
So look forward to that in the future.
I do.
Okay. I have not gotten one yet.
Yeah, I'm about to send mine back to you.
Okay. I just don't know if it got lost somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because I mean, I think, because Sean, you were saying the way that we are helping the other adventurers, is that what builds our aspect, or the way
Yeah.
our original adventure gets resolved?
No, it's the way you are helping, because your original adventure defined your third aspect. Some part of that adventure defined one of those, and then the way you've helped in these other 2 will define your 4th and 5th aspects.
Okay. Okay, so then it would almost make more sense. Well, no. Because if the way I'm helping is similar, then those aspects would not be all that different.
Yeah, I mean, you could interpret them in different ways. I'm sure there's some subtle difference between the 2, unless you guys, I mean, I don't know, because I haven't read your stories yet. So, but if you can find some subtle difference between the 2 to create to create your 5th aspect, that should work. Or something derivative of it, an item you received, I don't know, something your character learned. Because your aspect can relate to something physical. It doesn't always have to be something kind of ethereal. I mean, it could be like my father's sword or something like that. It could be, my ancestors' blade or something. It could be an aspect as well.
Okay, let's see.
Let me think. Things that I can vamp on to fill some space here.
You mean there are vampires in this Foreman?
Oh no.
Maybe. Probably.
Now I'm just imagining a campaign we run someday. It would probably work better as a one-shot where we each independently talk to the DM about, hey, secretly my character's a vampire.
Everyone is secretly a vampire. Oh no. DM's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
These guys.
Yeah. I would be tempted to do vampires in this setting, but again, I don't want it to just turn into like 30 Days of Night and just like constant vampires running around
All vampires, all the time.
all the time. Because I do think there are going to be days or times of the year where there is like no sunlight, and there's probably creepy stuff that happens. I'm imagining this kind of like a little Witcher-esque, where just the terrain and kind of the nature of the world kind of lends itself to just monsters being more active. And especially like, again, the ones that fear sunlight don't really have to worry as much up here because there is almost none of it. And then you get vampires going to high school and stuff.
I finished the one I was supposed to finish.
Okay. Once you finish it, send it back to the original author just so they
I've
can
done
give
this.
one more approval. Okay.
Just sent mine.
Okay, sorry, I'm still working on mine. Trying to think how to solve this situation.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one.
I can't
Okay.
wait to read these or to hear these. I'm going to have the original author
So
write
fun.
or read their stories and then
Oh,
about the aspects that they
yeah.
gained through their. Well, we'll just read each of the stories, and then everybody who's involved will talk about the aspect that they took related to it.
That's the part I'm having trouble with.
The aspects, we can talk
Yeah.
about it too. I mean, if you can't think of an aspect for something, don't worry about it. You can just put a question mark and we will or put whose story it's related to, and we can talk about like how to derive an aspect from that. And my goal, because you guys are probably wondering, like, again, I've talked about, I don't want this to be totally useless, is I want to, once we have all these aspects and stuff, I think they're going to be really good tools for your going back to your D&D characters, like personality tools to pull from and stuff, like what really
Oh,
makes
yeah.
them tick.
I agree.
Yeah. Even if there won't be any mechanics, but I'm also willing that if you have written something into your, like as your aspect, like again, something mechanical, like again, my father's sword or an ally that you have or something along those lines, we can kind of create that in D&D as something that you can, maybe not with the same mechanics as in Fate, but you can invoke at certain points or use and utilize with your D&D character. Okay. So everybody has theirs?
Almost.
Almost. Okay.
Sorry.
Is it okay if I reorder these a little bit to make it make more narrative sense?
As far as your aspects go, or
No, like the story itself. Because the second person I gave it to, I'm like, I feel like that might make more sense if it happened after the third person's contribution.
as long as it doesn't affect how they contributed.
Nope, it does
then I think you can orchestrate your story how you see fit. Unless they're like the way they interacted is dependent on having.
I don't think so, but
Yeah, we can talk. I mean, we can talk.
Savvy and
About
Alex can correct me.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want with what I wrote.
Thanks, pal.
That can go wherever you want it to. I'm flexible.
Okay, I think. Doop, doop, doop. Yeah. I think.
Good.
Right, that was supposed to go back to you, Alex.
Yes.
Okay.
So it has made it back to
Dost thou approve?
me. Yeah, I think that works.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Aspects. Let's see.
So everybody has the original story back. Does everybody have all 5 aspects, or at least?
Oh shoot, that's what I was supposed to be doing this whole time? Okay.
No.
Yeah, pulling out aspects from what you did in the other person's stories.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about it one more time because I think we're kind of working on that. So the way that it'll work is your first story. So you guys have your high concept and your trouble. Those are your first 2 aspects. Your third aspect is your story. So
Okay.
whatever story you wrote, the adventure that you were on, pull an aspect from that. And then your 4th and 5th aspects are going to be pulled from how you interacted in the other person's adventure too. And once we read all these, we'll take a break. And I'm looking where we're at right now. I guess we got to decide on skills and stunts. These are probably, like I said, the least important elements of this, because these sort of are what kind of directly conflict with like D&D skills. So I don't see this as necessarily something. These is something that's going to translate over as much. So we'll try to pick those quickly, and then maybe we can have some time to roll some dice and stuff.
I'm trying to remember, are aspects, are they neutral or are they supposed to be positive or?
They can be either. So if let me
Okay.
pull out, there is, where are they? Aspects, types of aspects. So your character aspects will, so characters aspects are, let me see. So they can be a significant personality trait or belief, the character's background or profession, an important possession or notable feature, relationships to people, organizations, problems, goals, or issues the character is dealing with, or titles, reputations, or obligations. Those are just some ideas. They don't have to like necessarily fall into those categories, but they can be something positive, like let me see. Like silver tongued scoundrel. I think that's kind of a positive one. You could kind of pull a negative from that. I think the best aspects Eric talks about here, the best aspects are ones that can be used either way. So something that can be both kind of positive and negative. But I mean, the nature of them is they're probably going to lean towards the positive side for you guys. But if you want to give yourself kind of a negative aspect or another flaw, that's totally fine too. Yeah, the game talks about saying like a good aspect should be double-edged. So it says, try this litmus test. List 2 ways you might invoke the aspect and 2 ways someone else could invoke it. Or you could get a compel from it.
Okay.
Let's say aspect should say more than one thing. So let me see. The best aspects overlap with a few categories of that kind of go along with your character, like the personality traits, backgrounds, relationships. So they might overlap with between a couple of those. They should have clear phrasing.
Oh man.
So it says this isn't to say that you have to avoid poetic or fanciful expression. It says just a simple farm boy isn't quite as fetching as a child of pastoral bliss. If there's a tone your game is going for, feel free to indulge your linguistic desires.
That's fine.
Let's see. And then it talks about if you get stuck. It says if you can't think of an aspect that really grabs you and the other people at your table, you're better off leaving that space blank or just keeping whatever ideas you had scribbled in the margins. Sometimes it's much easier to wait for your character to get into play before you figure out how you want to word a particular aspect. So you can wait till play if you want to, or you could change. These could kind of become more clearly worded during play.
Okay.
And then it talks about letting your asking out people at the table and letting them decide. Anyway, so how do we all feel? Well, good to talk about our stories.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Or I'll volunteer someone.
I can go.
Okay.
So let's see. I guess the story as it has been written, as it has been found in the ancient texts, Chad stood up to some other young turdy lordlings, but in a more brusque manner than perhaps is acceptable in noble society. Jules stepped in to try to back Chad up, but it made things worse, and they began to ridicule Chad mercilessly because his nanny was defending him. However, this ridicule became terror as Hild, from behind Jules, cast a spell causing fear in the lordlings who ran away. And I think that has given me the aspect. How did I phrase it? I get by with a little help from my friends.
Oh.
Okay. So you took that aspect. Savannah, what aspect did you take for Jules for standing up for him?
I don't know.
You don't know yet? We could talk about it. So, I mean, it's kind of the impetus of the action was kind of the standing up and kind of I guess standing up for the little guy kind of thing. Not that Chad's a little guy, but
He's probably littler than Jules. She's a large woman.
But at least, you know, kind of you could build something off of that. Do you have any thoughts on that, or did you have anything you were kind of playing around with wording?
No. This is hard. I have ideas for some of the other ones, but
Okay. Well, you can leave it blank if you don't have if you don't have something that you want to put down yet. Does anybody else have?
No, because I think it's something along those lines. I just don't know how to word it.
Yeah. Well, you could put something, you know, like I said, you could put something down like stands up for their friends or defender of the defenseless or something like that. And you could rewrite it later on if you wanted to.
Okay.
Or can't stay out of a fight. Okay, so what did you take, have an aspect that you pulled from that?
I'm like sort of thinking about, I feel like maybe like she's not afraid to play dirty or so along those lines. Like,
Yeah.
like she was hiding in the back and, you know, kind of like made it tip in their favor.
Yeah.
So something along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so, I like the plays dirty or takes cheap shots or something like that.
Ooh, I like that. Takes cheap shots.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's Chad's
I
story.
think I'm gonna go for something like, not permanent's not the right word, but like reliable backup.
Okay. Yeah. I like that too.
She always there, but butting in,
Yes.
making things worse. But she's always there.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about, well, who wants to go next with their story? Then we have,
I'll go.
okay, Savannah, what is yours?
This is I Adventure with Hilda and Mel. It's very good. Jules got into it with a roving band of raiders who were bent on attacking and pillaging a small village. She intercepted them on their way in and won a hard-fought victory against them. Hilda attempted to charm the raiders to persuade or dissuade them before reaching the town, but whiffed the spell. And they attacked. This, however, gave Mel enough time to set some crucial traps on the road, softening the raiders, giving Jules the advantage she needed to clinch a victory.
Ooh.
Good fight.
Okay. So what was Jules's aspect you pulled from that?
I was going to do something like always the hero.
Okay.
Because she has no interest in this town whatsoever, except that there are people that need help. So obviously she's going to stop and get involved.
I think that works well because we're talking about doing like folk hero kind of as a background, as an aspect too. So this kind of does the same thing.
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of rope those in.
And I like that too because it can. That's something I think could be easily compelled, kind of as double-edged because you're always the hero. Like you can invoke that and let you like kind of charge in and do something heroic. Also could be compelled to keep you from doing something not heroic, or compelled to have somebody who's maybe have a grudge against you, or kind of present somebody who sees that as a challenge. Could be used there. Okay, cool. So Mel and Hilda, both of you intervened with that. So what did you pull as your aspects?
You go.
Okay. I got something along the lines of still getting the hang of this. She's like new to being like to actually casting magic and specifically doing this bard type of magic. So she whiffs it sometimes.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. No, I think that works well as I like that as kind of it's a little more on the like I guess negative side is like still getting the hang of it, but I could see that as something you could invoke when you're trying something new or to like kind of push yourself beyond your limits.
Yeah, like doesn't know what's the rules, so yeah, might try things that people haven't thought of before or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Okay, and then Mel.
So, what I'm calling it is no one expects the Elvish demolition. Which is basically the fact. That's what I'm calling it because I have to. But really what it is like Mel's good at tinkering. Like just if she has a little time and the tools she needs, she can heck stuff up. Like she's good with tools.
Yes. Yeah.
Basically.
I like that. Yeah. No, I like that a lot. That's a really good one. It's got a good name, and I think that's one that could be double-edged. So I think that
I agree.
That works well. Okay, cool. That's a really good little adventure you guys have there. So we've got 2 more to get through. Mel and Hilda, either one of you want to contribute yours?
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where all of mine is. Okay, wait.
And whoever...
There it is. Okay.
If you have your full story, if you guys wouldn't mind sending them to me so I can have them, I would very much appreciate that. You just send them me on Discord.
Okay. All right. I've got mine. Hilda challenged another wizard to a duel after they mocked her. She lost. In the aftermath, Mel helped pick Hilda up, both physically and emotionally, and avoid the irritated local guards. Mel's assistance was particularly orchestrated by Chad, pulling strings with the guards, who had previously helped her with a similar issue.
Okay. That's great. So what aspect did you pull from that one? This would be your 5th aspect, right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to figure out, because it's like also along the lines of like she's still getting the hang of it, but I feel like there's something about like that pride, like maybe she took on somebody really big, and so but was like, I'm gonna win, and then obviously didn't. So
you could
I don't know what to call it.
I don't know. I mean, you could do something like I guess it depends on if you want to go for like your magic skills or something more like a little more combative. You can do something like the bigger they are, like the harder they fall, or you go after the big targets, like you're looking to try to prove yourself against the harder, the more challenging adversaries.
I do think you do also have though she be but little, she is fierce. So
yeah,
just be careful of the
overlap. Yeah. So those might overlap a little bit. I guess if you want to refine them a bit, the
yeah, I mean, there also might be something in like the fact that like the wizard was like mocking her, so she's got to like defend her pride or so like that.
Yeah. Honor bound or something along those lines would work there, and you could.
Oh yeah, like being proud.
Yeah.
Or like trying to make a name for herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or there's a fine line between insult and injury.
A wizard's honor or something along those lines, or a bard's honor.
Yeah, but then I also like picked the one like takes cheap shots. So I'm like, how do those work? But maybe they both work together, and
yeah, I mean,
in her own mind.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with necessarily having a little bit of like hypocrisy in a character.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
They're really much like, oh, how dare you insult me? I'm going to attack you, but I'm also going to attack you when you're not expecting it. So
I'm going to throw dirt in your eyes.
I can make sure I win.
Ooh, yeah. Okay, I like that.
Yeah. Okay. And then Chad, so you helped bribing the guards. What aspect did you pull from?
Always willing to flex his muscle.
Okay.
Ooh.
In this case is, knowing how to work the system.
Yeah.
But it can also be because Chad is strong.
Yeah.
Strong boy.
Okay. And Lindsay, you were the other one that helped with the
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The aspect I took was, I know that feel, bro. So now it's kind of a bleeding heart, especially for those who are like get kicked to the curb.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And then the last one, I guess, is Mel, your
yes.
story.
Okay. So, Mel has been employed by a few different nobles in her life, but the last round of employment ended rather more suddenly than usual because she killed the guy with poison. Fortunately, Chad was able to provide her some shelter and assistance in her hiding and getting away. However, Jules accidentally revealed Mel's identity to some folks in a tavern with guards nearby, not knowing that she, Mel, was newly on the run for murder and almost got her arrested. That's okay. The guy really was a douchebag, and Mel didn't want to go back to that town anyway. And besides, adventuring's more fun.
Okay. So what aspect
Wow.
did you pick for your story there?
I'm calling it "Ladies do not start fights, but they can finish them."
Okay.
Which I mean,
Oh.
it's from Aristocats, but I'm taking it to
Yeah.
mean like she doesn't hesitate. She'll do what it takes, and she can't leave a problem unresolved.
Okay, cool. And then Chad, what did you pick from that?
Worried that this might be a little overlapping with my high concept of justice reigns from above and infringing a bit on Jules is always the hero, but protector of the wronged.
Okay. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with you guys having overlapping aspects, because it shows some similarities between you.
Mhm.
That can be good, and it's not just like a verbatim thing. So I think that works. And what you were kind of talking about before with justice reigns from above is it that seemed to play a little bit more into your position in society,
Mhm.
and more like of an abstraction. And then this one seems a little bit more like action focused, like
Yeah.
doing things to help people that are in need. So I'm cool with that. If you want to refine it a little bit more, we could think about something, but I think that I like it.
Yeah, I think I can leave it for now at least.
And then Jules, what'd you take from it?
Everybody's best friend.
Okay.
Oh,
I think Jules is, well, she's a bartender. And so I think she's very friendly to other people
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
I love
And
that.
they'll
That's-
always kind of lend advice, or maybe has a good story to tell, or also an ear. But I think that also means she probably has very little filter.
Yes.
Most
Yeah,
of
I
the
love
time.
that.
I think that's a
she's
really
everybody's best
good-
friend.
Yeah, that's a really good one too, because it's got a lot that you could do with it there, and that's could be easily compelled or invoked.
Like almost getting your other best friends arrested.
Very good, guys. That was fun. Never done something like this with a setting. So I think you all know each other at this point. You've all been involved in everyone's stories. You all have these run-ins with each other, very well defined, I think, and I have them from 2 of you at this point. So I'll save those. Let's go ahead and take a break here. And we'll come back and we'll talk about, we'll try to get through like the skills and stunts pretty quickly, because I don't think those are super, it's going to take us a long time. Each of us just have to pick some. And then we'll do a little adventure. A little short baby adventure. Okay. So we'll be back in a few minutes, everyone. Thank you for being with us, and see you soon. And welcome back, everyone. So we are here Saturday nights, and we are currently, we just wrapped up a big portion of our kind of world building, character building thing for this game. So right now we're trying out the Fate system for our new campaign that is going to be, we're going to be using D&D 5th edition, but we are currently testing out Fate a little bit because none of us ever got a chance to play it. We're kind of curious. So we just finished with the phase trio. Where we are now is picking our skills and our stunts. So this functions a little bit more like D&D. You guys are going to, now they have you've mapped out your characters' phases and chosen aspects. You are going to pick skills in the form of a pyramid. You're going to have a single skill rated at great, which is a +4. And you'll see which ones are kind of highlighted, how many you get. I think you get 1 great, 2 good, 3 fair, and 4 average. Anything else that you don't take is considered mediocre, which is just a +0. So there is a list on page something 96. Thank you.
Yes.
Page 96. There's a list of all of the skills. Oh yeah, the default skill list. All the skills that you can take. You can add more to a setting. We're just sticking with the basic ones. So here's one of the things. There is a Fate like high fantasy like magic like expanded rule set if you want something more well defined for your typical magic caster. The way that works is unknown to me. I didn't really read up on that too much just because we're not playing it that much. It's just going to be assumed if your character's a magic user or something, we're just kind of assuming the magic part of it. It's not really built into the game. Whereas like Chad will encounter things and hit them with a sword or a hammer or punch things or whatever he might be using. The others, the rest of you, when you fight, you're using magic instead. So it's all flavor. And you get to decide how your spells look. You're not limited by spell slots or anything like that. When you overcome something, you're using magic instead of physical force. Now the only thing I'm trying to figure out is, I guess, how it works with like mind attacks. So when you're in a conflict with something, you can contest it using like physical, or you can test it using or you're kind of attacking their mental acuity, and you'll take stress for one or the other. So the only thing I could possibly think is if you're doing a magic and you're trying to more so affect their mental abilities, fight isn't necessarily the best skill for that.
I think it's will.
If will is the best one for that, then yeah, I think that would be, because I think that in the core Fate rules, that's like a verbal conflict, but I think we'll interpret that as being magic. So, and I may just have it that when you guys attack with magic, use will instead. That kind of sounds like a good way to do it, maybe.
That is literally what the magic rules addendum are.
Oh, cool. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to really peruse that too much.
Ain't no thing.
So yeah, if that's the way that should work, then yeah, let's treat will like the magic caster's magic skills. Here it is. Yeah. Okay.
Rather, I think will is like resisting it, and then different backgrounds of having magic have different skills. Like a wizard or artificer type would use the lore skill to cast. A divine person would use something else.
Oh, I think it was empathy.
That one.
I looked at it really briefly. Yeah.
If you feel like you know this stuff and that's how you want to interpret it, you just tell me that's how you're interpreting it, and just take that skill. That's fine with me. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Casting skill. Yeah, I see will here. I pulled it up just in case.
Sweet.
Because I realize we have some magic users in the party.
3, in fact. Of the 4.
A few, I would say.
Also, I believe that rule set that we're looking at is not official. I think it's making
kind of
sure.
It kind of gives you some suggestions for how to interpret things, and it gives some additional like skills that you can take. Okay, yeah, here's what it says here. So ancestral heritage, so somebody like a sorcerer would do rapport or flashy. It says as a casting skill. Divine patron, so if you're a acolyte, priest, cleric, shaman, or warlock, it'd be empathy or careful.
Flashy and careful are from accelerated.
Are they accelerated? Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, relentless training would be lore, which would be a mage, wizard, sage, or scholar. Okay. And then they would contest or defend using will. Yeah, and it talks about doing other things, like if you're trying to create an illusion, you do like deceive would be a good skill to have. But that's what we'll kind of do, is we'll look at it more so like what's the effect you're trying to create, what skill makes sense there. So anyway, so you guys pick those and rank them best to worst, which one what you see yourself being best at.
Are we going to chat about this, or are we just going to do it
talk,
and then
yeah, if you guys want to talk about it, if there's anything you have questions about or things you want to discuss, then do that. And if you don't have anything to discuss, we'll just talk about what everybody took once they've decided what they want.
I mean, I've got my skills at the ready.
Okay.
Well, because I have just been taking from that skill list. I don't know if we landed on you could come up with something else.
I would just take it from the default
Yeah.
list. Yeah.
Okay.
It's easier.
What's your numero uno?
I mean, for Chad, it's fight.
That makes
He is
sense.
a battle master.
I was going to take crafts for Mel as her great. Because she can
Okay.
build all the things.
Yeah, and your kind of casting, I think, would come from crafts too with your.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I was going to make the casting secondary, but if you're cool with crafts being casting, I am also.
yeah, I mean, it talks
cool with
about
that.
the thing here.
It does.
Well,
like, I have
you
to use
could-
tools to cast.
Yeah, you could use crafting to make. I guess it depends on the effect you're trying to do. I think
Yeah.
lore or report. I think lore for you probably makes.
Yeah, I think lore.
As for a lot of magic effects, but I think as far as like doing these specific like artificer based thing, like when you're enchanting
Yeah.
something or when you
Mhm.
are using something that you've created, I think crafting makes a lot of sense.
I agree.
Yeah, it says like if I want to create a force field out of energy, I might roll craft skill, since
Oh, sweet.
a barrier or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What are your other numero unos, Jules and Hilda?
I also went with lore. This is
Okay.
another one.
And I assume that's going to be your spellcasting ability,
I guess. I mean, like,
because that makes
this
sense.
seems to fit as like a lore bard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would think about it more so. I mean, I guess it's up to you, because
Uh-huh.
if you're casting based on the knowledge you have acquired, then lore makes sense. If you're casting based on your verbal acuity or your ability, like kind of the charismatic idea, then I think you could pick something else if you wanted it to be more.
Okay.
But I think lore makes sense. It's pretty all encompassing. I mean, you're well studied, you're well learned.
Yeah. And I think, because I think like the next one would probably be Will. But
Yeah.
I will put that as good because of our earlier discussion about the aspects that she's still getting the hang of it. So maybe it isn't as good
Yes.
at that part of it.
And what did you take, Jules?
Empathy.
Okay. And that'll be your spellcasting
Yes.
ability, I assume. Okay. And then
We're
we
such a good team.
Yeah. So then we have your good, fair, and average stats. You guys can kind of fill those out. We can hit the high points of those if you want. Some of those will affect some other stats too. I think physique. If you have, I'm trying to remember what it is exactly. The great thing is your character sheet will automatically update. Like if you put physique, I think it's a 4 or a 3 or 4 or something. Or if you take a plus a certain amount in physique, it affects how many stress points you get. So
Like my mental went up.
yeah. So
Oh.
what did you take? You took lore and
By doing lore, my mental went up, I think.
or was it will?
Let's see. Let me get
You
rid
have
of.
will on your sheet yet?
I do. Hang on. Let me get rid of both. Okay, so it was the will that made it go up.
Will made it go up. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will increase your mental stress, and physique increases your physical. And what those come to, so when you guys are in conflict with something, so let's say I'm using a monster and I attack you, I'm gonna roll fight. I think you defend with fight as well. Let me double check here.
Yeah, it looks like there are a few options to defend with.
Yeah. You guys can. I think you guys can decide how you defend. If you like for creating the barrier or something like that, you could defend. You guys can argue how you defend with something, but there are some stats that that don't have the ability to use to defend unless you can, reason why, in like the moment. So
Okay.
when you take a hit, so let's say I roll a plus, like a +3 against you, and you roll to defend and you roll a +1. So that would, since I exceeded the amount. I think it's they call it shift points. So if I exceed what you roll by 2 shifts, then you have to mark. Well, you have to do a couple of other things because you failed, so you're going to be taking like quote unquote damage. And what you have to do is you can mark a point of stress, and those numbers next to the boxes actually do have a mechanical impact. So like, let's say you're taking 2 stress, you could mark your 2, 3, or 4 box to get rid of 2 stress. So the box you mark has to equal or exceed the amount of stress that you've taken. So if you take 3 stress, you can mark your 1 and 2 box, or you can mark your 3 box, or you can mark your 4 box. But if you've marked, if you take 4 stress and you don't have a box that equates to that, then you're going to take a consequence. Conversely, you can decide to take a consequence in lieu of marking one of your boxes. So if you take the points and you say, I don't want to mark this off yet because I'm sure I'm going to get hit more, I'm going to go ahead and take a mild consequence, then you can take a mild consequence and negate that. And then the consequences go mild, moderate, severe. Severe consequences being the worst. And I think those are like permanent effects almost. So something to think about, kind of like taking Constitution and stuff, is whether you want to have a decent will and physique stats.
I guess one question about one of these skills. There's drive in here. Is that meant to be like operating a vehicle, or like your drive, your ambition?
It is
Operating
it's
a vehicle.
athletics when you're in a vehicle.
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe I do want to hold on to that then.
Okay, that changes things.
Yeah,
Which
that was still.
I am taking drive for one of mine, but in D&D I do have some vehicle proficiencies.
Yeah, so you guys could take these to kind of mimic what you have with your D&D characters too.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and it says here like you could reinterpret that as ride instead of drive if you want, because most of your transportation is animal based. So if you guys want to, like Savannah, if you wanted to reinterpret that or like rewrite that as a riding stat instead, you could do that.
Would also go well with my animal handling skill.
Yeah, because it talks about renaming them a bit. It's the same thing, but like you could do pilot, operate, things like that.
Cool.
I like how there's a skill in here that literally is just like, this is the being a jerk skill. And I'm like, oh, you mean Mel?
Is that provoke?
Wait, which one?
Yep, that's provoke.
Provoke. Oh.
Provoke is the skill about getting someone's dander up and eliciting negative emotional response from them. Fear, anger, shame, etc. It's the being a jerk skill. That's what the book says.
So after you pick your skills, you will then pick your stunts, which are you can make them up, but I think it's gonna be easiest if you try to pick the ones that correspond with the skills that you've taken. So what everybody defaults to having 2 or 3 stunts for free. And these give you certain advantages. If you look at the skills set, I think it's at the end of like each little skill description. It talks about, it gives like some stunt examples.
Yeah.
So you can take 3 of those for free. If you want more than 3, for each one you take beyond that, you have to reduce your refresh by 1. And what your refresh is how many fate points you start out at the beginning of each session with. So everyone by the default starts out with 3 refresh points. You could trade 1 or 2 of those to get additional stunts. But if let's say you trade 2, so you end up with a refresh of 1, that means at the beginning of each session, you are starting out with a maximum of 1 fate point. You can gain more than that if you get compels and stuff. You could have as many fate points as you want, but they refresh at the start of each session.
I'm sorry, you said we get how many stunts unless we decide to take more and reduce our refresh?
3.
Okay.
I'm double checking here too. I was seeing if there were any stunts that came in with magic stuff, but I don't think I see any. Oh, wait, there are. Magic stunts. Yeah, so on the Hive Fantasy, I think there's a list of stunts that you could do for a magic system. Like Animator, Blast, Counterspell, Shapeshifter, things like that. Some of them require disciplines. I'm double checking here how the disciplines work. Yeah, so you get to take one. If you guys want to kind of lean into the high fantasy stuff, you guys can take one discipline for free. Or you can take more than one and they cost one refresh. If you guys want to complicate, you guys don't have to go this way with the magic stuff if you don't want it all.
I'm starting to get very confused.
That's fine. So Savannah, you're doing a life cleric for D&D.
Yes.
So you took. So if you're wanting to sort of build that up, if we're using the high fantasy magic part, there is a life discipline that is described in the magic PDF.
Okay.
So that's something that is totally homebrew for this PDF here, but it fits in with like a high fantasy magic setting. The essence of it is it says you have mastered the power of life force itself. With it, you can begin the healing process of consequences. You can begin the healing process on consequences, create wards of protection, and even temporarily focus the energy into weapons and angelic beings, starting at good +3 difficulty. So you can do those things, but like you can make a craft skill or a provoke roll doing those specific things, and you get to automatically roll at +3 with your life discipline. So you could take that for free, and then for stunts, and stunts are just little like extra things. They're not skills, they're not aspects. These are like little advantages and extra like abilities you get to use, and they're usually limited. A lot of them say like once per session or once per combat or something like that. The magic PDF has specific magic stunts you can take if you want those, and like I'm looking at, man, I don't know if you don't have to take any of this. You could just take your stunts as they're described in the Fate Core. So if you look at the end of like the default skill list, after each little, so if you look at athletics is the first one.
I've been looking at those. You guys just moved on to other stuff while I was still trying to pick my
No,
skills.
it's okay. I'm sorry. We'll slow down. So the you could just look through all of those and pick the ones that fit your character. If you want to take some specific magic stuff, you can. If you don't want to worry about trying to get into all that, then with the magic additional rules, don't worry about it. And like I said, because we're not technically since we're not playing the system, this stuff doesn't necessarily matter so much. This is sort of the gritty mechanics that would matter if we were playing this system in earnest. So I would just advise finding a couple things that are interesting to you. If you guys want to play and do like a little encounter and get a chance to roll some of these dice and do this, I have some other stuff you guys don't want to work on that we can talk about as far as the game itself is concerned, and doing some world building. It's up to you guys, whatever you want to do for the next 50 minutes or so. Does anybody have any preferences that they'd like to do?
I'm leaning more towards world building.
That's fine.
Same.
Yeah, just because,
Is
as
it
Evan was
still
saying,
too
there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I like learning the system, but since we've already decided this isn't the game we're going to play, like I don't
Yeah.
see the point in going more nitty gritty into it,
That's fine. I'm kind of fine with that too.
because we can just do that another time.
Yeah. Well, and we can hold on to this. So you guys have made and filled out your skills and everything. If the only thing you don't have is like stunts, and you want to just like write a little note like I need to add this, we can always come back to this in, however many weeks or something, and we want to we could very easily, now you guys have these characters made, like flop back over and say, hey, this week let's try doing Fate instead, and we could try this out. But yeah, I don't want to worry about spending the next 45 minutes, 50 minutes trying to pick out stunts and then say, okay, well, that's the end of the session, and then never use this again. So
it's a little overwhelming.
Yeah, no, I get that. I've been looking at this stuff probably a little bit more than the rest of you, so that's probably why I'm going a little bit too fast. And if we had some extra time and we didn't have to have like a straight 6 o'clock cutoff, I might be a little bit better. But does anybody have any questions about anything, or want to ask any questions about the Fate stuff so far? I mean, like I said, not really that big of a deal, considering we're moving to D&D. But if we want to talk about it, we sure can.
What are the boost and situation aspects?
I know what situation aspects are. I think this isn't just an area for you to put in notes. Like, if you guys are in an encounter and, like I was saying before, like the ground is covered in ice, you can put an aspect for like icy terrain, and that can be invoked to the detriment of another part. So like, let's say you're attacking somebody and you say, and like it doesn't go well, or you want a bonus to it, you could say, well, I'm going to use a fate point to invoke the icy terrain to cause the creature to slip, so I can get in a better hit against it. So you can I think those are just to take notes of them on your sheet, so that you can remember them during the scene or the encounter, or however long that situational aspect is going to last.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's cool. I think I understand it up to the point where we got.
Yep. I haven't chosen any stunts, but I'm like, this tracks.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty, I think it's pretty intuitive once you get past making the other stuff. I think right now all we're into is like sitting down, reading all of your options and deciding what is best for your character.
Yeah.
And if we were building characters in earnest for a long-term campaign, that would be good. Since we're just doing this for today, then we'll go ahead and move on. So here's what I'm thinking then. We've done so a couple of things I'll talk about, I guess, the campaign as it goes. And then one of the questions I want to ask, I want you guys to think about, is where are we going to start? Because I know we have this whole world, this region here. I know, Chad, you hadn't decided like what city you're from yet. Might be good to decide that, and we can kind of build out from there. I know, Savannah, we kind of talked about where your tavern is.
Yeah, we did.
So we can kind of we can put that on the map too, and you guys can see kind of the relationship of the two. The region is pretty big, and I mentioned this before to you guys, but not everything is on the map, just the major locations. So you can assume if it's a 4 days ride, so like to some of the cities, it's like 100 miles apart. There are probably 5 or 6 small towns between those two cities that you would stop at or see along the way. But I'm not going to describe them or narrate them, because unless there is something going on there, it's not going to be important. But things that we can build out, places that you can name, things that you can say that you've encountered, so you guys can come up with names of places if you really want to. I've left a lot of blank spots. So here are options for the rest of the session. We've talked about some of the homebrew kind of rules we're going to bring into this game. And I want to go ahead and address a couple of those. If you guys have your sheets up and you want to mark some of this on there, you can for your D&D characters. We've talked about this before, and I'll let the stream know. We're going to do a Dungeon World style XP system for this game. This is inspired by a tweet that came out, I think it was last week. Adam Coble tweeted this idea, and I really liked it, and I want to try it. So the way it's going to work is we have a list of questions that we will ask at the end of every session. You guys will gain XP for those I guess answering those questions, or if you answer them in the affirmative, a lot of them are like, did you complicate your character, or did you express your character's alignment in a way that complicated their life? Did you find uncover a piece of lore, stop a challenging enemy, something like that. So you can, so we'll gain XP that way, and then the amount of XP you need to level up is going to be the amount equal to, I forgot the number that I came up with. I think we just decided on 1 plus your level. For right now, I can't remember if I decided on 1 or 3, but I have it written down somewhere else. So yeah. So that's how we're gonna do XP. So I'm gonna leave it really in your hands. The other thing that I wanted to bring in, and I think I mentioned this a few times in the chat, is this concept of legend points. So there's a system called Savage Worlds that uses this mechanic called bennies that you get 3 of each session. You can use them to do rerolls. 3 would be a little much for D&D in the way it works. So I'm giving you 1 each. So each session, essentially you get to start with an inspiration. And you can spend that each, it refreshes each time. They don't carry over, they don't stack. And you can spend 1 at any point to reroll an attack, save, check, or damage roll. So that will apply to you guys. On the inverse of that, I get a number of them equal to the amount of players in the game, which I can spend to reroll any roll that an enemy makes. So it'll allow this game to be a little more epic, a little less kind of fumbly, bumbling goofiness, in the sense of like being able to re-roll a die or a very important check once per session. We're still gonna have goofiness and stuff. I'm sure that'll happen plenty, but hopefully it'll give you guys that one shining opportunity to do something a little more epic. Like when you roll a critical hit, you roll 6 1s on your damage dice or something like that. You could re-roll that and get some better damage.
We get how many of those?
You get 1 per session is what I'm going to start with. I'm thinking that I may up that as we go. My kind of idea, and I wasn't sure whether I was going to put it out there, but that the amount that you get is going to equal your level divided by 5, rounded down. So you'll start off at 1. Once you guys to level 10, you'll get 2. Once you get to level 15, you'll have 3, and once you guys get to level 20, you would have 4 that you can spend per session.
Cool.
As you level up, you get more epic. It's my thought for that.
I understand.
But right now you guys can just mark that somewhere on your sheets if you want, just how many points you get. And like I said, they're going to refresh every session. The last thing that I was thinking about doing is we can talk about this too, is I wanted to also incorporate Dungeon World bonds into this game, as an additional way that you guys can get that additional way you guys can get XP by resolving those. So I wasn't planning on doing that during the session because we'd have to pull up the Dungeon World PDFs and you guys will have to look through those and pick out some. But it's something I want you guys to think about between now and then, and next week at least. And you guys can add them as you go. We can go through them now. We can pull up the PDFs. We can talk about them. I just didn't want to put that pressure on you guys if you don't want to do that. Either that or we can just keep talking about the world itself and you guys can ask me some questions if you want.
World build.
Okay.
I mean, either way, this is going to build out the world. It's just where you guys want to focus.
Okay.
So what do you guys want to do? What do you guys want to ask? Where do you want to...
Well, I want to know where we're starting, which I think was the first question 5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I think it might be good to like, I don't know, I think it'd be interesting to like prioritize these little like adventures that we sort of wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Like what part of this happened when.
Sure.
Like that, whatever those things are called that we just wrote, our little stories.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
Okay.
So which one? So let's do that. And while we're doing that, why don't we come up with locations that these happened in? And so let me mark on the map where, or Savannah. No, I'll do it for you because you've got your stuff over there.
What?
I'm going to mark on the map where we put your tavern.
Oh, yes.
That's good.
My town. Well, it's a whole town.
So I'm going to just say that the one that I wrote for Mel was literally, in my mind, the inciting incident for why she had left her town to begin with. And like that happened right before she became a level 1 adventurer. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay, so the killing the dude.
Yeah, she killed the dude and was like, guess I can't come back here. I'm leaving.
Gotta go. Bada boom, vamoose.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Okay. And who was in? Okay, I was involved with that one.
Yeah.
But I think based on the way that it's been written, it would be the same town where Chad's family is a noble, has noble holdings, and is probably nearby Jules's tavern town.
Yeah.
Yeah, so her little town, to give context, I guess, is a little like is a town. It's
Goliath.
the smallest little grouping of buildings and people that can be classified as a town. It's very small, but the big thing is the tavern that can I talk a little bit about the tavern?
Sure.
I'm for it.
Up people's faces? Okay, let me tell you guys a little bit about the Rusty Cog Ale House.
Okay.
I'm just so proud of it, and it doesn't even really exist. So it's this. They live in this tiny little town called Bakeries, which is like this little one-horse kind of like stop along the way in between the other big places that are around, and kind of on one side of it, welcoming you into their little village, is the Rusty Cog Ale House, which is a tavern and brewery, but also a temple to get this. So the temple has been there for a very, very, very long time. And Jules' like great grandmother, who was a cleric of Gethys, with the help of some travelers, built up a small inn attached to the temple to house travelers and things like that. And over time, it has become the ale house that it is today. And now it's a full-on brewery, thanks to Jules and her mom. But so this little gem of a tavern and local brewery, which I'm sure all the hipsters love, exists kind of out here in the middle of nowhere, attached to a temple, which her and her mom also kind of curate. So yeah, that's where we exist. I'm looking at your faces. I'm not sure anyone is actually listening to anything that I just said.
We were listening.
I was listening to the last 10 seconds. I'm sorry.
Well,
I
that's
missed whatever it
helpful.
was that happened to Lindsay there. I
Don't
wasn't.
worry about it.
I've been shot!
Where is? Did you mark it on the map, Savannah? Where this little
Sean
town?
marked it, but he marked it in the fake game.
Which
'cause
one?
That's the map
Oh, in
that
the
I'm
fake
using
game.
to stream.
Okay. I'm looking at the wrong
Are you
No,
guys
because
in the other
that's-
game now?
Because that's
Now I see it.
keep doing
If we're
stuff
all in
on
the other game now, I'll move to the other game. I just
Well,
need to.
The fate map is the one that we're using for the stream. So
Yes.
Okay. All right.
If anything,
I will
needs to go
move
on the
everything.
map,
We can mark-
put it there.
Yeah, we can mark this up all we want, and then I will
Okay.
transfer
We have
everything.
too many things open.
Yes,
Okay.
The,
That's where the Rusty Cog is. Okay.
But
the
yeah,
thing with
so,
Lindsay was in the D&D roll 20 chat.
yeah, it's in this little town, but the brewery ale house / temple is the important bit. So
Okay.
So then that means in terms of the major settlements nearby, it's either I'm not going to pull up the pronunciation guide because that would then cover up the map, but we've got Glambale, Cragdale, which I see you got rid of, more like Chad Dale.
Yes, I did get rid of
I
that.
want to say it's Crogdale.
Crogdale. Yeah.
Coildun and Duncarn, or what's this fourth de mer in there?
We'll work on pronunciations.
Just say it however.
That is, yeah. Just say it however. The translation of that is the Fang ruins. So it's just it's a collection of ruins within that forested area.
So we can be from there, is what you're saying.
No. probably frequented like by bandits and.
Oh, so Mel can be from there.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You pick it.
I don't
You're
know.
wherever you want, my dear.
Yeah, so you have Quildun, which is that's a major city right here, and then Krogdale, and then I'm trying to remember the pronunciation of this one, Glanbala.
I'm trying to remember. Isn't Crystal east?
Crystal is east, yes.
Okay.
Well, it's technically both directions, but it's the only.
Oh yes, wraps around. That's how
Yeah.
the world works.
Yeah, but I think it is closest to the. No, it's actually closest to the west.
Okay. So then maybe like I'm just like trying to think of like where this
If you
school
want
might
me to
be.
in the Roll20 game for the D&D game, I will move it to the world map. I'm sorry, chat, you won't be able to see it, but I will move us to the world map so you guys.
Okay, yeah, I do remember. Okay, I remember that now.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah, it
think
does
technically-
like wrap around.
Yeah.
Cool beans. Okay. Yeah, so then maybe what is like is it Dunclaw? Is like the main city? The capital?
No, the capital is Shiriot, which is
okay. That one. Okay.
Well, Alex, what are you thinking? Not to interrupt, I'm just.
Yeah. Well, because we were saying at one point that maybe the Magical Academy was like on the border between Ishvar
Yeah,
and
so
Rastil.
it might be west of Rusty Cog. It might be in Quildon,
Yeah. So I'm
maybe?
thinking.
like closer to Crastal, but maybe still within.
Yeah. So I'm thinking. I'm leaning towards Glanbal.
That's where you're from.
Yeah. Either that or maybe Coildon. Yeah, probably one of those two.
Okay.
That would make sense if you're trying to keep you guys all in kind of a one region. What are you thinking? I guess Lindsay, you were talking about where your character might be from. Is there anything that you're tied to? Is it just like plug in any city?
Well, with the story that we just wrote, it would make sense if Mel's inciting incident, like the noble that she killed, was a lesser noble from the same city where Chad was.
Okay, but as far as like region or
I don't care.
proximity to water or something like that, doesn't or mountains, it
Nope.
doesn't matter for any of you.
Nope.
Okay, I think it would be fun. I guess my suggestion as a DM, I'm in the same position as you. I think Glanbala and Quildun are the two best options. Glanbala gives us the option of being in the mountains and kind of starting at one end of the map and working our way across to the other.
Because I think we're all thinking that area because we don't know how else to have picked up Jules. If she's like, I'm in this place, this is where I live.
Well, she's also, if you guys remember correctly, been like out and adventuring the longest. So
That is true.
So if you were
I just wanted to give
wandering,
you guys some context.
yeah, if you were wandering around to nearby cities, I think you could have ended up in any of those. So yeah, why don't we say Glanbala? I like that one.
Okay.
Starts
Is
at the foot of
that's where Chad is at, like his hometown. Also Mel, and then maybe also where the magic school is.
So the magic school would technically be off the map. to the west, but if you were coming in
another city,
Morning,
yeah,
that would be like your first stop.
got
pretty
it.
much.
Okay, yeah. So that maybe. Okay, I'm just like trying to think like how the order of these adventures that we came up with. So if Mel's is last,
Or first, depending on how you think of it.
true. Well, okay, so then maybe if that one's first, so it's like inciting like why we have to leave, then potentially like Jules's would be next. Well, then Chad still needs to happen while in the city, right?
I guess Chad's could
It
technically
could be in like any city.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't have to be okay.
I mean, it could
Specific.
really be anywhere.
Okay.
You have to run into other lordlings
Some nobles, yeah.
who are known to adventure and gallivant and stuff.
I'm imagining they were the ones who were just like, oh, look at me, I'm off to be an adventurer. And it's just like, have you guys like, you probably have servants with you carrying around full-on pavilions for you to camp in overnight.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I like. So whose is required to happen in the city? Because yours is like on the road. Yours could.
Whatever.
So I think
Mine is in a city.
Jules's and Mel's could happen later.
Okay. And
or
mine
not
is
Mel's,
not
Chad's,
actually
I
on the
meant.
sheet now that I'm looking at it. Oops.
Although to be fair, I think Mel's is like covers a length of time. Because like it talks about Mel killed a dude, and then it's like Chad helped her not be arrested immediately, and then later Jules hacked this up, and I almost got arrested again.
Also true.
So it could happen over a course of time.
Which is the one that doesn't have Chad in it?
Jules's.
Mine.
Jules's. Okay. So here's a thought then. If you guys really want to cover with a chronology to this, I mean, because if you guys are going and traveling together and you're trying to, it's going to be hard to do this because all of yours is missing somebody. So whoever's the last one is going to have to make a reason why one of you wasn't there to participate in that. But given the nature of adventuring, I'm sure it's not really unreasonable to think that like for Jules's, Chad just wandered off for a bit. So it's up to you guys, but I guess it makes sense if we want to. I'm thinking in context of where we start the campaign itself and how far we are away from the city, and whether you guys have actually traveled far enough to make it to another town or city, and how much adventure are you guys thinking you have done by the time we start the campaign? Is it a couple of little places just around this one city, or are you guys thinking that you have traveled an expansive distance?
I'm leaning more towards we haven't gone very far yet, with maybe, some of us being more antsy to start putting more distance. But also, I mean, what is the distance from Glambala to the Rusty Cog?
It's pretty nice, depending on where you put your marker.
Yes.
Get out of here.
It's not quite working for me, but
Oh, let me try. I did it earlier. Go on, keep talking.
yes, we're just being silly.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that Hilda's not been adventuring for very long. So if that means her story is later, then that's fine.
Did it just get overwritten with... Oh, okay, that's the name of the little town, not just the tavern.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
My God,
Okay.
you guys. Okay, so this is what we sit here doing for the rest of the session.
I'm trying to get it exactly decimal.
Stop.
Sorry.
All right, let's regroup. So you have, how do you pronounce it again, Savannah?
Vagrous.
Bakerus. So you have. I like the idea.
Crossroads,
So
in case anyone is interested.
here's my I guess, pitch to you guys for this campaign and where we're going to begin. I like the idea that everything that's happened so far has been in the hold of Glanbala. So you guys meet in the town, do a little bit of shenanigans in there, and then you're given some jobs that cause you to move outside of the town. And right now you guys are in the kind of wilderness between Glanbala and I guess Quildun, but kind of coming in between like the ruins and stuff, like not having made it there. So my idea is that you guys are maybe like in this region right about.
Okay. We're starting in the wild.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
Maybe there's a small town or something you guys are in right now that we'll figure out that. I'll give you guys a job that you are currently in process of completing, maybe delivering something to Quildun or delivering someone somewhere. I don't know, something like that. I'll come up with something between now and then that we have like an idea of what you guys are up to. So anyway, this doesn't really help with the order of operations here. But I also think it maybe won't matter so much because we're talking about a very short span of time.
Yeah, and we've all been adventuring together as a group, officially, taking jobs for 6 months.
For 6 months.
Okay.
So
6 months ago, I killed a dude.
Okay, fair. So 6 months, all this stuff has happened in the last 6 months, probably with a little bit more going on and other kind of shenanigans between that point and cool. Let's think what else. Any other questions or any other things you guys want to work out as far as world building goes?
Would we know in the debate amongst the gods where Aricia is on the for mortals or against mortals? Or is it known? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I think there's probably a dividing line that has been kind of put out. I think there's a lot of neutral parties. Well, a lot. There's only 6 of them, so there really can't be a lot of anything. So my thought is, if we're going to put it on for and against, I think you definitely have Kune and, I think I'm definitely going to say Kune and Den are on the side of 4 mortals.
Since they were recently
4 mortals. I don't think either one of you were that detached from your people. So I'd put them on the side of 4. I think I said Charlie and is on the side against.
Yeah.
I think Arisha,
his name is Charlie. Oh, got it. Okay.
Yes.
It is Charlie.
Yeah, Charles. You know.
I was like, what?
Yeah, it's spelled Tjarle, but it is pronounced Charlie.
Amazing.
I would probably put. Oh man, that's tough.
You don't have to answer right now, but I was just curious if there was like defined like.
I think those are the definite sides. I think as far as Arisha and Lelvath and Gethys goes, I think it's more so like jury. Like they are neutral, and as far as anyone knows or any of their acolytes know, they are still judging like the moral kind for their transgressions.
So does that mean for the last 800 years, the followers of Charlie have been full doomsday cult of like, the end is coming, repent?
Can't you feel it?
Yeah, I think pretty much. I don't think it's probably gotten worse over the last 800 years, because I think obviously because we're not in the year 800, there were like a bunch of years afterwards, like 50 or so years where people were like getting in the aftermath of the war and everything, and then finally the religious leaders came together and they made this decision, or they received the providence that like this is happening, this is the state of things in the celestial plane, and then that's when the clock began on this era of age of judgment. But yeah, I think the followers of Charlie have gotten more and more aggressive. That's why I gave them these epithets at the end of it, or epitaphs. Which ones?
Yeah.
Epithets.
Epithets.
Epic.
Epitaphs go on your gravestone.
That's right. Epithets at the end, so I can refer to him as the Mad Emperor and not Charlie in the really dramatic.
Yeah.
I was there for the OG Charlie.
Yeah, so Charlie is named after the pet of one of our former players who used to play with us and had a little familiar abomination that they named Charlie. And
A ton of eyes.
yeah.
It was
That's
very
gross.
squishy and cute.
But I couldn't just go CHARLIE for a god, so I had to
Charlie.
work with it.
We love
That's
you,
fun.
Charlie.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm never gonna be over this ever.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely see they're a neutral evil religion, so it's a little doomsday-ish, I think.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Is anyone thinking that they're going to be a follower of a specific religion?
I don't know. I mean, I considered it.
Well, present company excluded.
Well, you can't exclude present company because that's all of us.
I meant in that specific
You mean
In that household?
exchange. Yeah. So other
I
than
have
following
chosen,
Gethys, I was just curious if anyone else was like considered themselves religious or followers of a specific creed.
I think Hilda likes Arisha. I haven't decided like how devout they are. She is
That's
yet.
fine. Yeah, devotion I don't need to worry so much about, but I like it because I can. If anyone's played in any game that I've ever run, religious guidance and visions and dreams and hallucinations and whatnot are very much
confusing.
are my favorite things to do in setting specifically. So if you guys are tied to a specific religion, that gives me that opportunity, but I don't want to pressure you guys into that. Also, you don't have to deal with that if you're not worshippers of a deity. If they don't have your phone number, they can't call.
Some of us made another cleric.
Yeah.
I think if Mel were in a better mood in general, then she would like Arisha, but I think she's pretty ambivalent. It's like, when have they ever done anything for me?
Sure.
Arisha is just slowly becoming goddess of the artificers.
Right? Like, that's what you'd think. You'd think Mel would be like, great, knowledge gods, but no, Mel's a punk.
Yeah.
That's what Sadell did.
Yeah.
Yep. Aw. Yep, I remember that.
Grandpa, I miss you.
I know.
Okay. Does Chad's family
Chad
go to
worships
Sunday
Chad.
service?
I mean, who doesn't?
Yes. I don't know. I'm thinking. I'm wondering if maybe just to throw in. I don't know. This might be too tropey, but if his stepmother is a follower of Charlie.
Charlie.
So like like going full like evil stepmother comes in and casts out Cinderella or Chatterella.
Chatterella.
I'm cool with that. We need to find your fairy godmother, but I will.
I mean, it's Mel.
It's me.
It's all of them.
No.
I like how Simon and I both are like, it's me at the same time, and I'm like, what?
It's a collective
We.
angel and devil on your shoulder.
We
I mean,
three,
it's
all
like
three of
Sleeping
us.
Beauty. There are the three of them.
We're the
Yeah.
three-faced fairy
Aw.
godmother.
Chad's fairy godmothers.
Cute. I like it.
And maybe
Okay.
also Chad's personal trainer.
Also his tutor, Hilda,
Yeah.
and his bad influence friend.
His entourage. We're just making entourage.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we are. This was always
So
the
Chad
goal.
is Mark Wahlberg,
I
and
just want to clarify that Jules is a large woman.
yeah.
She could
Okay.
smush Chad probably.
All right. We got 14 more minutes. Any other questions or
I think I've figured out where I want Chad's dad to be in the hierarchy. So
Okay.
I think he's not the council lord of Glambala, but it's like the steward or the castellan. So I'm assuming based on the title that the council lords occasionally have to go and convene in
Yes.
the capital. And I think Chad's father is the one who, is running the town while the actual council lord is away,
He's the steward of Nondor then.
basically.
Yes.
Also, I don't know if we want to do like a Game of Thrones bastard naming convention or if he is also just Lord Museldorf.
That's up to you.
Do it.
I'm cool with either way. I love
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, but I don't
Lord
want to.
Snow.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
that might be literal snow. That's we could come up with something more creative, so we're not just going with snow here. But yeah, if you want to do something like that, I'm cool with it. This does also make you Boromir, Faramir.
One of them.
Depends. How does
Faramir,
your dad
'cause
feel about
Your
you?
dad,
Yeah,
how does
that's
your dad
true.
like you?
He got kicked out.
I mean, yeah,
So
I don't know how much of the backstory I want to get into right now, but
That's fine.
yeah, I think
Thumbs up or thumbs down on dad. That's all we need to make that
Dad was
distinction.
good with Chad until
He was a good
what
Chad
Dad wasn't
dad.
bad with
he was,
Chad?
He was a good
That
Chad
was
dad.
rad. He was a
Pretty
good
rad
Chad dad.
He was a rad Chad dad.
Yes, until evil stepmother, noble lady had 10 years of influence on
And
him.
Yeah.
it was bad.
She made him mad.
Now he's sad.
Poor,
Chad.
poor Chad.
Oh my gosh, we just wrote a children's book.
oh boy. Oh goodness.
Oh, I love this so much.
Love Chad.
Okay. Oh yeah, I like
Just
that
wanna
though.
hug Chad.
So my initial question was whether they had any sort of religious
Yeah, no, I don't think. Well, there was religious tutoring in terms of like, hey, you have to know the pantheon, and
Yeah.
things like that, and
more of an academic thing than actual
yeah,
more than actually being
yeah,
converted.
because Chad has a -2 to his religion rolls. Although that
I've already
is
marked down if you want to convert, if you want to commit to your mother being a worshiper of Charlie, I can write that down, or we can wait on that.
yeah, I think I
I will
want to
save
wait
Chad.
just a bit, but I am leaning towards that because I'm curious how that would manifest in non full-on doomsday people.
True. Yeah. It's probably something where, again, it's not outlawed. Like none of the six are. I mean, they're widely worshipped and accepted. Their worships, even an evil deity, is accepted as proper worship. But I think there is some like nobles who worship the Mad Emperor are probably a little different than your peasantry that worship them. So yeah, we can talk about that if you want to work that out. Any other questions or thoughts?
What's up with the Twilight Realms? Can we go there?
You certainly can. Once you
I
guys
want to live. I choose life.
find or have the ability to.
Okay. That was great. There was bears. Mel will love it.
Were lots of bears. So
many bears.
those of you that weren't, so the last campaign they went to the Twilight Realms was just sort of our homebrew conglomeration of the Feywild and of like the Shadowfell kinda. But it's like home of the Fey, and it's made up of 3 territories in this like material in this plane beyond the material plane of the Starlight Mountains, the Feywilds, and the Shadow Desolation are sort of combined in the 3 of those, and that's the home of the Fey, and there were talking bears and stuff, and yeah, that was we went there last time.
Freeman is still there, as far as we know.
Yeah, well, especially since time passes much slower in the Twilight Realms. So what happened in 800 years may have only been, I don't think there's like a mathematical conversion, but it could have only been like 20 or 30 years for anybody in there. So so Freeman could very much still be fine.
I was mostly joking. I'm pretty sure we brought him with us.
I don't know. He kind of liked
I don't
it
know.
there.
Did you? I thought you guys did
No,
leave.
I thought he was on the ship at the end. But I don't
Well, also
remember.
Freeman is a warforged, so no one's quite proven how
It's
long they
just
lived for.
living in the Twilight Realm, eating honey buns, and fighting
Yeah.
bears.
I love it. Oh,
Yeah, I haven't really worked out much of the rest of the world and like how things have changed, other than the fact that there is not a current like global conflict, and things are pretty peaceful between all the nations. There's the things that were decided in the Concordat have been upheld as far as the abolishment of the slave trade and outlawing the mass production of firearms and their use in military use.
So how illegal are we talking?
As far as firearms go,
Yeah.
As illegal as slaves?
not quite as illegal as slaves, I don't think. I think there are
I mean, that
probably
seems fair.
it's probably one of those things where they are very hard to come by. Like
To come by, you say?
and the diagrams to make them are difficult, and I don't think they would be allowed. And like, people can have them, you can keep them in like presentation in your home as like a piece of history. I think if you were actually running around shooting guns, that you would be arrested by the guards and they would be confiscated.
I don't think Mel needs another reason to get arrested besides I murdered a dude.
Yeah, no, I mean that's fair. We'll have to talk about how that played out, because we're gonna have to figure out if you are like wanted in that city or if it's
Yes.
Oops.
In my mind, it was she cannot go back there looking as she does.
Okay.
She does have proficiency in disguise kit for a reason.
That's a good point. That's good to know. I think this is Skyrim rules though, where you go into another hold and your bounty
Oh yeah. Oh
in the
no.
different holds.
I assumed this.
So you don't have to worry about
Like, not our division.
Skyrim
Yeah.
rules.
But yeah, I think as far as firearms go, I think you might see them in use by bandits and other criminals, but I don't think if you guys are walking around a city and trying to be like law-abiding citizens, it would be difficult to get away with the
I
use
don't know.
of a
I
firearm.
saw Law-Abiding Citizen, and there were lots of guns in that movie. So
Yeah.
That was a good game.
Well, and then you get blown up in your prison cell in the very end.
spoilers.
Spoilers!
That movie has
So
been
old.
out for
It's
like
so old.
15 years now.
Okay, I don't think it's happening.
It's
Oh,
been
boy.
over 10 years since I think that movie came out, though.
You do not underestimate how many movies I have not seen.
Well, you seemed like you had seen that one, and if you haven't seen it at this point, you're probably not going to see it.
That's fair.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So Ishvorn is mostly Goliath and then humans? Nehumans?
And Drow.
Goliath, human,
And
drow. Yeah.
Okay. So Mel is the most normal looking of us,
Yes.
being half drow.
That helps me blend in.
Yeah, I mean, I
So-
think, I think halflings, dwarves, other races are seen. I don't think people are like, what are you? I think it's just like, they're just not as common.
So, but me and Chad are like,
You and Chad would be a little bit
how's
distinct.
the
Now, did we
Genasi
decide?
population?
Now we decided, Chad, your father is not a. Your father is.
Father is human,
Oh.
love child with one of the tiefling servants
So
from
many
well
half-breeds in
before
this
he got
party.
married.
Okay. Yeah. Tieflings are also not. I was just trying to decide whether I was going to have to write in a tiefling noble, but I remember us talking about that now. But yeah, either way, tieflings not very common in this area, considering their home country is on the literal opposite side of the world.
Yeah.
And then I'm always making the assumption that Genasi are weirdos.
Yeah, I think most of the time Genasi don't really have like they're just random anomalies
Anomalies.
that pop up. So
Yeah, because
yeah,
I don't think I clarified earlier, but like, because Jules being from this area, so like her mom is human, but she doesn't know her dad, but her dad's a Goliath. So
Mhm.
yeah,
But she's a genasi.
she's a
yeah.
ice baby.
Oh my god.
I told you guys I was gonna bring a weird energy to this game,
Ice,
So for
ice,
it.
and
baby.
here we are.
Um,
But yeah, so she doesn't know her dad, but is known to have been Goliath.
so some other little like aspects
so
of the
tall.
world. There are dwarven kingdoms in the mountains in the northern area of the country. Most of them are pretty isolationist. They don't really interact with the other kingdoms, but they are there. There are the giants that live in the valley as well. In Ogrelek, there is that's the ice giant or the frost giant main sort of clan. It is right here.
Man, I
That's the
missed it.
wrong
I was
map.
in the wrong game.
This one.
Thank you.
Which one? That
gonna
one.
go back
to
Hey,
the map.
there it is.
This one.
All right.
Yeah. That is the ice giant clan's like home. So that's where they reside. There are other giant kin that live in the mountains. I think stone giants have a pretty good, and so the frost giants have a very close relationship with the nobility and the political structure of Ishvornen, and it wouldn't be uncommon to see a frost giant in civilization, like in a city, trading or doing something along those lines. So that'll be a pretty common occurrence, or at least not an uncommon occurrence. As far as other giant kin, stone giants kind of keep to themselves, no outright kind of hostility. Cloud giants, same things. I think there are giants seen around, but they don't interact, like they don't have the same relationship that frost giants do. Fire giants, on the other hand, are direct opposition of the frost giants, and they do live in the mountains. I think they have a closer relationship with the dwarves that live there, but there will sometimes be conflict between like fire giants and frost giants. So I don't know if that'll actually come up or be central to the campaign, but just so you guys know in your backstory. Any other questions before we conclude our conversation here today?
Can't think
Okay.
of anything.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you guys have a lot to consider. So what we're going to go ahead and do then is we'll do our first session next Saturday. So we can over the next week, what I'm going to have you guys do, this is your homework. Take the stuff that we came up with in Fate and just, I guess, kind of ruminate on it, think about how it relates to your characters. Gives you a good idea of how to play your character in game. What I need for you to do between now and then, though, other than just finalize anything else, ask me any questions you need to. You guys all have a copy of Dungeon World, correct? The only person I'm not sure of is Alex.
We have one that's available to the group.
Yeah, there's one in our group little folder that you guys can have access to. Comb through that, specifically look at the classes that you are playing, or their sort of what's the word I was looking for? Anyway, the ones that
Analog.
Yeah, they're analog. That works. In Dungeon World, and look at the bonds. Find ones that work for you. It should be pretty easy. You can look at the other classes too. You don't have to pick from that one. Find bonds that work for you, or write your own if you want. There's a section on how to write bonds in Dungeon World if you want to look that up. I know we've talked about it before. It's a little bit difficult. If you want to come to me or work it out with people, that's fine. You need one bond with each of the other players. So you should all have 3 bonds to start with. And if you resolve those during the course of the campaign, I've got a cat hair or something in my eye. If you resolve those during the course of the campaign, then then you'll gain XP and you can cross them out or write a new one. So it'll just be an additional source of XP for you. And so there are D&D, like there are bonds in the D&D system. And I think there was a question earlier about how those are going to work. No relation. So we can name it something else so it's not as confusing, but you can still have your D&D bond written there. This is something different that specifically relates to the other party members. But that's all I need. So we'll do this same time, same place next Saturday. Thank you everyone out there for watching. If you stuck with us, I apologize if this was a little dry for players. I don't know how exciting it is to watch us sit here and kind of come up with character stuff. Hopefully you as players got something out of it. But we will next week begin our campaign proper and get into exploring this world. If I thought about it, I would have had some like really dramatic write-up or lead up to the next campaign, but I didn't because I wanted to see what happened. So anyway, I don't think I have anything dramatic to read here at the end of the game. But we will see you on Monday or you, the viewer, on Monday for Hidden Shrine of Tomo-chan. I don't know if we'll finish it up this week, but we'll see. We will be here on, or I guess Morgan will be streaming on Wednesday, finishing up doing craft nights, correct?
I might do it Tuesday.
Morgan will be doing her craft nights. Thursday, we will have Matropony. And next Saturday, we'll be back for Saturday nights. Yeah. Does anybody else have anything?
Yeah, I may be doing some streams during the day next week, including perhaps some of my own crafting.
Yay!
We'll see how that goes, because those are like 4 to 5 hour projects, and I may go stir crazy if I'm sitting there for 4 hours straight.
What are you making?
I don't have pictures of what they will look like, which I think is actually better, but as a teaser, Jasper the Dragon, a papercraft kit, and then I have one other one, but I figure I'll start with that one because it's more D&D-ish.
A Durgan.
Cool.
Durgan out of paper.
Get to see all of our artistic endeavors. Awesome. And yeah, so we'll be around. I'm sure there'll be more video games and stuff happening throughout the week too.
I promised a quick pitch for All Myths Are True, and didn't have time to prepare anything, but I would be remiss if I didn't actually say anything about the game today because I said I was going to. So on May 9th, I am going to be running a brand new campaign, a brand new show on game nights called All Myths Are True. It is a Monster of the Week campaign, which all of these nerds are going to be playing in and following through. So it's going to be the same faces that you see on your screen today, with a couple of other probably drop-in and drop-outs that cannot be with us every week. I think it's going to be really cool. I've taken Monster of the Week and put my own twist on it because, as you guys know, I can't do anything just by the book. So we're going to follow a very, very competent group of
one of us is
monster hunters, whose characters we will introduce later on.
One of us is effective, if not competent. One of us is competent.
But I think it's going to be really fun. So the game is going to take place in a world that exists after a cataclysm that has happened. It used to be the human world. It is no longer just the human world because in a singular moment in space and time, worlds that existed on their own for decades or century or millennia crossed, the stars aligned, the barriers between worlds grew thin, decayed, and broke, and all kinds of creatures from all over the universe that didn't know of each other's existence were smashed together, and now there are monsters and people and magic and all kinds of stuff existing together, and we're going to follow the best of the agency that is trying to keep the planet and all the other planets that they now know of safe from monsters. So more info to come, but I promised a teaser. That's your teaser. I think it's going to be really fun.
And you can catch that on the 9th of May at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
All Myths Are True.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for us for tonight. Thank you all for watching. I'm really looking forward to getting on this new adventure and getting back into Sarthia and seeing what sort of antics you guys get up into. So until next time, everyone, good game and good night, Internet.
Night, internet.
Good night, Internet.
Good night, Internet.